Okay, let me see. I think we're live. All right, everybody. So, immigration to Australia has been a hot button topic lately. And I found Sarah online on Instagram. And hello, Sarah. It's good to have someone to actually talk about these issues, which is,
Yeah.
it's kind of rare to have people that will actually have a conversation. Um, And so I saw this Instagram post. Let me play it for you guys, and then we're going to discuss it. So
coming to Australia is very hard. That's why I believe mass migration has been controlled already. But I want the white supremacists or the people that are like against mass migration to tell me which type of visa they don't want anymore. Because I want to know what type of visa is that one. Because am I been taking the wrong path towards staying here? Are my friends taking the hard way? Because in order to stay to this country, you have so many routes, but they're all very complicated and expensive. Like you can make a regional visa where you live in regional areas for 2 to 3 years to prove that you have a skill that you already study here, and you pay 3 times the fees of Australians in order to get the skill. For example, if you wanted to be a carpenter, and being a carpenter is $10,000 for Australians, for us is 30K, and so on, and we have to pay in cash up front. You know what I mean? We also have to pay our own insurance because we don't get Medicare. We have to pay the visa fees, which is like $1,700 in total, something like that. So I just don't know if we're taking the hard path to stay in this country, and there is a very easy visa that these people are talking about that I don't know, because I thought I knew about visas, but guys, I think you know more than me. I think you know.
All right. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think on that video, can I say something about that video? I think
Yeah,
people got very, very, I was gonna say confronted by my tone, and I was talking to my partner about it, and they're like, "Yeah, because most people are not used to listen to women in the same way they listen to men. So when you speak, you have to be more kind, because in that way it's easier for them to understand you." And I was like, because it sounds like you're
no,
screaming, and I'm like, no, I'm not
no,
screaming.
no. No. Australian women are some of the most aggressive in the world, and they are the most privileged in the world, and so you're from Colombia, right?
I'm from Venezuela.
Venezuela. So
Yeah.
in Venezuela, I don't think that a woman can go mouthing off, calling men cunts and swearing at men like
Well,
Australian
it's a very
women
weird
can.
thing because sorry for interrupting. It's a very weird thing because Venezuela is a matriarchal society, so it's just a society mainly based in single motherhood and female. It's like female leaders. It's weird because education is led by females, so most men and women trust more women than men. That's why we have more girls in sales and customer service. Everything, for example, banks, everything related to trust is more female led, and everything related to labor is more male dominated. So you can see a lot of women that they speak the way I speak in English, but in
It's
Spanish.
not an issue. What I'm trying to
It's
tell
not an
you is
issue.
that
It's not an issue.
what I'm trying to explain to you is that it's not an issue, and that Australian women are very boisterous. They talk a lot, and they speak their mind. And Australia has some of the best rights for women in the world. Um,
Yes. And
and
that's why I
so,
moved here. One of the
so that's not the
reasons.
case. The thing that would have triggered people is that you associated um, people not wanting too much immigration to Australia with white supremacy. And you're talking to a real Australian right now. And so I can explain to you what we feel. And when someone calls me a white supremacist for trying to defend my right to exist as a white male human being, because my existence is under threat, I think that person, no offense, but anyone that calls me a white supremacist should be killed or go to jail. The same as saying the N-word or a Nazi or anything like that. I have extreme views, and there's a lot of men exactly the same as me because in Australia, I'm from Sydney, Australia, and 50% of the population in Sydney was born overseas. And instead of having empathy from us, what they do is they actually say the opposite. They have no empathy for us. What they think is that we are white supremacists and that we're all billionaires and that we're all privileged and we're all so lucky, when in fact, we're getting swamped with immigration from people that hate us. And we're starting to realize that the politicians, our fellow Australian citizens that we welcomed in so kindly, and all of the peace and everything that we created in Australia is getting spat in our face. And we're on the verge of just realizing that the only solution is violence. Okay, so I'm just letting you know how extreme some of the people are. And personally, myself, like, if we had guns 10 years ago, I probably would have been shooting people in the street, just so you understand how oppressed white people are in our own country. Just so you can understand. So if anyone got triggered by that, it's more like there's no empathy for our position or our lives. And yeah, just so you're fully aware of, like, if so, like when I heard the white supremacist, I'm like, oh, I want to debate her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair enough. So from your perspective, I understand quite a bit, as I dated 2 Australian white men that actually thought exactly the way as you. And it's funny because I told them, when we were dating, they were used to complain about my Latinity, but like, oh, I want to go down salsa in the square because it's available. You know what I mean? It's free, available. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm just dancing salsa in the street, right? That doesn't hurt anyone, and everyone is welcome. But little by little, they were complaining about my lack of Australian, like the lack of being Australian, which is like, Sarah, you need
weird.
to chill. You know, you need to
actually,
chill.
where are you? Hey, hang on. Where are you though? What
I'm in
part
Brisbane.
of? Oh, okay. So just so you know, Brisbane's still, I would say, majority Australian. So it still has our culture. And there's enough of us there that we can still defend our culture. You know, there's still just enough.
Okay, because when I
Street
arrived
Mall.
to Australia, right, I came to Brisbane because this is a university area. So there is a lot of like, there's plenty of universities, and it's pretty much in a student city. I'm not gonna shush it up. There is plenty of students, and I no longer can speak in Spanish to keep secrets because there is a lot of Spanish speakers here. Which is fine. I love it actually. I love the multiculturality here. But when I was dating these Australian white guys, they were actually telling me, it's like, yeah, no, the Australian culture is getting lost and so on and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then I used to not complain, but say like, but you also don't date white Australian women. Like most of your ex-girlfriends are from Colombia, Venezuela, whatever. You target Latin women because that's what you feel attracted to, because we are attracted to different, right? So we find that exotic, we find that attractive. Same with Latin men and Australian women. It's very common and very often.
Which is evidence that they're not racist, right? That's evidence
Which
they're
is
not
evidence
racist.
that they're not racist. Exactly. They're not racist. But in another sense, they also complain that the white culture is getting lost. And I explained to them, it's like, if we have a child, this child is going to be trilingual, mind you. And also, this child will not have a sense of belonging anywhere. Not in Venezuela, not in Australia. Why? Because first, he'll be like, Australians are boring, but I'm not as wild as a Latin person. So there is not going to be a sense of belonging. And I believe most Australian children that are in a mixed race family, which is a ridiculous amount of children that are in a mixed race family, they have no sense of belonging. And that's why I believe Australian culture will get,
yeah, I can
are
hear
you
you.
still there? Sorry.
I can hear you. I can hear you, but let me just step in there. So you're talking about the culture of the people that are coming to Australia, and what you need to really step back and have a look at is, why are they coming to Australia in the first place? They're coming for economic benefits. There's less pollution.
Yes, everyone has a reason. So
yeah,
let me
finish.
stop in there because
it's really important that you understand this, because
yes, because I'm an immigrant as well, and
that's
I understand that we all.
But that's the trade-off that immigrants make. You see, so I don't go. Let's just say let's just say we let in another 1 million immigrants and Australia collapses and everyone starts killing each other, which I think is very likely. Okay. And then Australia, the economy collapses like Colombia. And next thing you know, we're the only economy we got left is dealing drugs to China. Okay. And then I decide to become a refugee to China. I don't go to China to go live in Shanghai with the beautiful city, with the economy, and then marry a local Chinese girl and then go, oh, my sons and my children are lost. I don't say that. What I do is I go, well, it's better than living in Australia because it's collapsed. That's what I pay. That's the payoff, you see.
Yes.
And so when an immigrant to Australia comes in and they go, oh, what about my culture? That's a direct threat to my culture and my life.
But how come a lady dancing salsa in the street in a public space that was built to build connection? Because there's, mind you,
that's fine.
here
Like,
Australians dance salsa.
I don't have a problem.
Bachata.
That's what I was saying. I said, where were you? Because I'm from Sydney. Sydney's already lost. So if you're dancing in the street, I would go, that's way better than having Africans slitting people's throats with machetes. That's way better culture than all of the other. But is that happening
in Sydney?
Yes. Or the Africans are violent, and there's home invasions and car theft, and they're damaging the economy on arrival, basically. And we can see it. It's in the media. It's in the media.
That is a huge problem. But I think it goes deeper than you simply being Africans or being Middle Easterns or being brown people doing this. I think it goes beyond that. It's like where these people come from, how did they get in, and who's taking care of that. Because I'm being very, very honest with you. The amount of paperwork that requires in order for you to stay in this country is insane. And I'm telling you this because there is not enough knowledge around how expensive it is to stay in Australia as an immigrant, but also the amount of mental work you have to do in order to gain your position here.
Oh, we know that. We know that. All Australians like me, you got to understand, we want more paperwork and we want people to pay $1 million to enter. We want to make it, people like myself, we want zero immigration moving forward. We want to make it actually impossible unless you bring $20 million on arrival. Like, we want to shut it down totally.
Okay, and how do you think?
I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware of the ramifications of low-skilled labor and the economy, but that's better than dying at the hands of too many immigrants because they're actually killing us. You're not aware of the statistics because the government benefits from immigration at the expense of people like myself. And the government is controlled by globalists. The government takes the money, they're running. And this is also, let me explain something else to you and other immigrants as well to let you guys understand what is really going on, is that the people who run Australia, they're flooding Australia. The reason why they're flooding Australia with almost anybody at this stage is because they're trying to prop up what's left of the economy while they get the real capital out of the country. So the people who run the country are getting it out. They're trying to get it out right now, and they're moving it somewhere else. This is what has happened throughout history, and this is the cycle of wars and famines and the collapse of economies, you see? And so the issue for you is you might do all this paperwork, work really hard, spend a lot of money. And I'm fully aware, like if you're from Venezuela, it'll be really difficult for you to get the cash together to because I went to South America.
Not just the cash, it's the level of education as well. So
there's that. I went to South America recently, and there were a couple of guys that got in a fight in the shops. And everyone just said they must be Venezuelan. So I'm fully aware that there's a lot of attacks on Venezuela, people from Venezuela in South America. I'm aware of so the thing is, you might spend all this time working really hard to get into Australia just before the Zionists and the globalists collapse the society and it turns into Britain. And then you've worked to get into a shithole. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna. I get your point 100%,
Mm.
and it's a fair belief, and it's a fair say. As you, I believe in patriotism. I believe there's nothing wrong in being patriotic and trying to defend Australians and trying to defend the culture that you guys is a very new culture. There is no typical plate or typical songs. There is nothing like that because it's a very young culture. Like you guys started 300 years ago. Meanwhile, Venezuela has been building on like the rest of the world has been
Well,
built from
well,
ages ago.
I
But
would say,
I'm just gonna
I would
yeah. Let
say
me just
every
finish. Let me
country.
just finish my idea. I
Mm,
let you finish your idea. Let
yeah,
me finish my
yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah.
So when you come to a country that is so young in culture, there is not enough roots for people to be held. So right now, as long as you're saying like yes, Australians are losing the culture, the white people or white cis men are feeling under threat because everyone can make fun of them nowadays. There is nothing wrong with you making fun of a white man doing white man stuff, and that is actually happening. But being honest with you, white men have done this for centuries and no one has said anything until now. So
Was it white men or was it Jews? Was it white
no, no,
men
I'm
or was
saying,
it
for
Jews?
example, white comedians in the past century, most of the comedians do
Oh,
sexist,
comedians.
racist jokes,
Okay.
all of it. And nowadays, because it is, that's
Yeah.
okay. Are you okay? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm
part
good.
of the conversation starts like, yes, it's true that cis white men are getting like less valued. They're understanding no one cares about what they say. The whole thing, that's also very true. It's very true. People disregard it because we assume already they have a ridiculous amount of privilege. But in the sense of, this is my perspective. When I came to Australia, I didn't understand the concept of white cis male being homeless. In my head, I'm like, I have nothing. I have no money, no language, no network because I came here on my own. I'm 21 years old. I'm a female. I'm small. I'm not strong. I'm literally set for failure in this country already in my arrival. And I was 6 months in here already, I think. And I said, why me in this level of disadvantage? I'm also dyslexic. I'm not homeless, and that man, strong, good English, probably has friends, a whole bunch of opportunities, Centrelink, access to help, access to Centrelink. I didn't have access to any sort of help, nothing. This man is sleeping in the streets. And that's when I started learning about like mental health, about like a lot of Australian males have problems with like mental psychology and no one's actually
So
offering help
let me
and so she
explain.
bang.
Let
But
me
in my
explain.
head,
So one thing that there's multiple things that we're jumping all over the place. I would much prefer to stick on one thing
no,
at a
no.
time.
Let me just finish that my thoughts, and then we'll go back to you. In my head, I was like, that's why the need of immigrants and the number is set in stone every year. It's just
No.
because you need to fill the regional gaps of the Australians that want to move to the city because they don't want to live in regional areas anymore. And you need to keep the regional areas open for transport, for the economy, for anything. You need people to be distributed. You cannot have everyone in the city. So you need immigrants to live in regional areas to move the economy in those sections. Meanwhile, most Australians and skilled immigrants live in the city. And when I arrived here, I remember that was the route. The route was to study a very good school in the city
Okay.
or whatever,
Yeah,
and
you
then you
touched.
work two to
Let
three
me
years in regional areas.
let
And
me
that's how
address
you get to apply to a
people.
visa.
People watching this will get really frustrated if you jump through multiple different topics. So I need to address one at a time. So number
Yes.
one, Australia is one of the richest countries in the world, and that's why people
Yes.
want to come to Australia. And so
Yes.
what you got to understand is what type of people are coming to Australia. Okay, well,
Yes.
mostly highly educated that can do the paperwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have wealth. They're
Yes.
usually in the 1% in their own countries. You
Yes.
know, they're often highly motivated. So like I would put you in third, highly motivated, willing to work your way in, right?
Yes.
And so what you're a highly motivated person trying to go to somewhere for economic benefits. In
Yes.
Australia, all of the people were born there. We're not grabbing the top 10% and then they're getting highly motivated and traveling abroad. You got people living in Australia that don't care about that. They just want to have a drink. They just want to. You got mental illness, as you said. You got
Yeah.
disabled people. You've got
Yeah.
unintelligent people. They're just born there, and it's not their fault that
Yeah.
highly competitive people are coming to Australia. So what happens is, you've got people in Australia that are not ready to compete on that level because they're, in fact, Sydney would have one of the highest IQs and the most highly motivated people anywhere in the entire world, because that's what we attract, you see.
Yes.
And that's why the labs, the science, the universities, they've got the smartest people in the world. And
Yes.
so when you come to Australia, what you do is you come to Australia and you see someone that's homeless. They're not ready to compete. They're not in the economic Olympics. They're not motivated, and so
Yeah.
that's what you're seeing when you arrive. We've got you know, there's people that come to Australia and they bring their PhDs and they bring $10 million and they bring their families. They're highly motivated and they want to hit. They don't have any connections. They don't have any distractions, and
Yeah.
they're ready to roll. And that person is going to be competing with an average Australian that isn't prepared for that in any way, shape, or form. And they're not on that level. And that is, if you want to, the next part of what you said is, okay, so a lot of historically white men have gone to other countries and they've colonized. Well,
I
when you
never
think,
said that.
well, let me say that then.
Okay.
So what has happened was there was highly motivated, the 1%, 10% of highly motivated men that would go abroad and colonize. Think about the Australians that arrived in Australia, how motivated and hardworking and ready to go they were compared to the Aboriginals. And so they kind of
Yes.
colonized. And so what we're witnessing right now is the colonization of the same demographic, a different color skin of the same people on the same landmass. Now,
Yes.
the same as Venezuela, I'm assuming if I Google, you know, native Venezuelans, they're probably
Yeah.
brown, right?
Yeah.
So,
They're brown Indians, but
yeah,
they live in their own communities and they get to study in
yeah,
the city and they normally go back
yeah.
because they
So,
don't
like,
like the
if I
city.
let's just say Venezuela was one of the richest countries in South America, and I
It
went
was,
there. Yes, it was, and I'm
and it
fully
still
aware.
is.
Soon Australia will probably end up there. But let me explain this. Let's just say I wanted to get into Venezuela, and I arrived and I'm like, I want to manipulate the political system in Venezuela. Then what I would do is I would attack you and I would say, look, she's a white supremacist. She's white, you know, and she took it from the local Venezuelans. And so therefore she's racist for not letting me become president of
Right, right.
Venezuela.
I
So
understand why that
yeah.
became an insult.
So
I don't
so
believe
here
being a white
I'm
supremacist is an
yeah,
insult.
so
By
here
the way.
In Australia, I will be right wing, but when I want something from Venezuela, I will become left wing. And so that's why we got so many lefties in Australia. But in Australia, we got so many left wing Chinese that are like, oh, freedom and democracy. They come from a dictatorship. Get fucked.
Yeah,
They're killing the Uyghurs. They killed all of the Tibetans. They literally
yeah,
got they got organ harvesting going on over there. And they come to Australia and they're like, extreme left wing. What about democracy? Give me freebies, give me this, give me that. It's
yeah.
like, you're communist. You don't have that in your country.
But
And so,
being honest,
so
Australia
what?
is very,
Mm,
very socialist in a lot of senses. And
you
when I
don't need,
came
you don't need to
here, I
be, you
got
don't need to be
scared a little because of that. When I
socialist.
yes,
Well,
so I
Australia
believe
is.
Australia is a capitalist country that has a lot of good social policies and it's a right balancing between people who are not capable of making the money and people who are capable of making the money. They have the freedom to make the money, but you're also going to benefit the community that cannot. So the only way they can keep the balance is not having extreme rich people to make it hard for people to actually become extremely wealthy. And I don't know if that's actually happening right now or not. but I do believe this is a land where you can do and build your dreams and do whatever you want. To be honest, you have everything in the world to succeed in this country, not any other. And yeah, taxes are expensive. There's a lot of welfare out there, but everyone is safe and secure. And that's the trade-off you pay. For the Australian government, immigrants are just a number more. We are just, oh, sorry, Bob. We are just one number more, and that's it. I am a female. I was 25 years old. I was ready to have babies, and I was married at the time. So they were like, well, we need more women having babies, and the Australian government needs 2+ babies in order to fill, the gap of labor we're gonna have in the future. That's
Yeah.
not happening. So
If
that labor has to be filled by migration. So
so,
if you
if you
talk
listen to the
numbers,
government, then
there is no other reason. There is no
you're
other
listening to my
way.
oppressor. If you're listening to the government, you're listening to my oppressor that wants to kill me and take everything from me. Because the government is the enemy of the Australian people. They are direct enemies. They're the globalists. Every prime minister that we've had has been Jewish and a Zionist and worked for Israel and loves genocide. And they're preparing to do the same thing in Australia, just so you're aware. So we don't care what the government wants. So let me give you 3 things that are really important about Australian culture that I think you might actually like. 1, tall poppy syndrome. If you get too rich and every poppy should be the same level, that means a middle class. That's an economic way of looking at the world. 1, if you get too high up, a tall poppy, you become too rich, like in America. That's why America is such a shithole. We cut you off. In my opinion, if you become a billionaire in Australia and you start using that leverage to corrupt my country, you should be cut off. 2, if the police fuck around too much, Ned Kelly, do you know Ned Kelly?
Yeah.
It's in our culture. It's in our culture. This is why this guy shot 2 police officers recently, and I don't think they've found him yet because Australians are hiding him. Ned Kelly. Don't fuck around with the Australian people. And the thing is, we've got too many immigrants that don't understand that. You know what I mean? And 3, when we're too oppressed, we have larrikinism. Now, larrikinism is basically from the British, because the British monarchy was a total dictatorship. And it was such a terrible dictatorship that we were so oppressed that what we did was we just go, haha, yeah, we will do it. We'll do, like, we just listened to what they would tell us to do, but we would disobey and we would play dumb. Larrikin. And we did the same in Australia. And when every Australian understands these 3 rules, it doesn't matter how oppressive the monarchy or the leadership is, we will still have our rights. You see?
Right.
And we can
But
do it if we work.
my question is,
let me finish
sorry.
the whole thing here. This is
Okay.
really important that you understand this. It doesn't matter how oppressive and Orwellian the leadership is under these circumstances, we will have our freedom. But every immigrant comes to Australia doesn't understand those 3 things. Doesn't understand tall poppy syndrome. They come and turn up with a suit and they think they're all fancy. They don't understand larrikinism. They don't understand that we disobey the government. That's our culture. Our culture is fuck the government. Don't pay taxes. Fuck the government. And 3, when the government gets too oppressive, Ned Kelly.
But
Everybody
I think the complaint
understands
was
that.
about that. So you're saying that Australians have like this disobey the government, whatever attitude towards. But if you have let's say, a brown family who came here, who are residents, they're simply not white. They just came, like me. I'm a citizen of Australia. I vote. You know what I mean? And my voice matters as much as yours, even though that might hurt. We have the same value for the country because my vote
And
is equal to yours,
and
right?
that's a direct threat to the freedom and the wealth of Australia if you don't understand my country.
Exactly. So let me just finish the thing. You're saying that, but if an immigrant does what you are implying that is the Australian culture, Australians will complain. And Australians will say, this is bad. They come to this country and they do this mess and they do this. For example, at work, I remember my first year working in Australia, my manager, who was Australian, she told me, Sarah, you're working too hard. Work less. Because you're making us look ridiculous. You're making us look like we're lazy. Mind you, we were in a Mexican shop doing burritos. And this
Female,
girl, who is my
a
supervisor, come to
Australian
me and be
woman.
like, huh? Australian
That's an
woman, yeah.
Australian woman, the most privileged women on planet Earth that have been given too much rights within Australia. Yeah, don't work
There is
too
no many
hard.
thing has too many rights for a person. We all have the same rights.
No,
There is no such a thing.
white women in Australia have more rights than white men. It's a fact. It's an
There is no
objective
such
fact.
a thing.
There's real
Like, that
data
is
on it.
literally impossible.
It's a fact. There's real data on it. It's an
Because a
objective
woman has
fact.
the same rights as a man, it doesn't mean that women have more rights than men in Australia.
No,
We have the same
no.
rights.
White Australian women can commit crimes, and they will get a smaller penalty than Australian men. They will
Yes.
get more benefits when they don't deserve it. They will get paid more than men, and they will still
Yes.
cry about the gender pay gap. So objectively, they have more rights in every aspect of society.
Yes, because women should be
Objectively.
protected because they're in charge of making babies that will benefit the government in the future. That's how
Well,
it works.
that was the belief a decade ago in Britain. Now look at Britain. It's
Yeah,
dead.
because women are not having babies because there is not enough money or enough security to have one of those. It's too expensive. It's not affordable.
No, I
And it's
mean,
not, and there's lack of village as well.
Britain's economy is collapsing because too many women were political in Britain, and they were
Yes.
oppressing white men in Britain. Now Britain's
Yes.
dying. Britain's finished,
Yes. And
and that's
it's
going to
gonna
be the
happen
future.
everywhere in the world until, because this is another thing. So during COVID, a lot of couples, and let's go back to housing and migration, there was a lot of internal migration during COVID, and people are not counting in this. A lot of couples, right after COVID, a lot of them moved to Queensland because Queensland was chill during COVID. We had like, I was in a state of origin in November 2020. Like, I was chill, right? And I was having fun in my state of origin. 50,000 people, no mask, no COVID, no nothing, because we enclosed the state, right? After people could
Well, you
travel
didn't
freely, a lot
close
of,
it too much. You didn't close it too much. I'm a real Australian, and I jumped the border. I told them to fuck off. I'm a real Australian. I was like, fuck you. I'm not listening to you. I jumped the border. I was up there partying with you.
right. Well, that was Queensland. And again, Queensland was chill. A lot of people moved from Sydney from Melbourne, from other states, regional, to Queensland during that time. And of course, we have expensive houses and everything just for internal migration. We're not talking about immigrants because we didn't allow immigrants during 2020 and 2023 yet. We are still talking about dealing with internal migration, right? So then these people come to Queensland, the big move out, and then people start breaking up. Like, couples were no longer couples. They were like two individuals that required two different houses, probably getting into a flat share with a friend, blah, blah, blah. But we had a bigger need of houses because people were actually getting separated because of COVID. And then you have the opposite effect, which is a lot of couples were together during COVID and they started having babies, and they had like two babies during in between 2000 and 2025. A lot of couples had like 2+ babies, which is a good thing for the economy, mind you, regardless of if this couple is from Australia, they're white or brown or whatever. If you have babies in this country, because I literally signed a paper that says I'm encouraged to build family,
You
literally on my
notice
citizenship thing.
that you have brought up race more than me.
No, I haven't. I'm not saying. I'm
Brown
clarifying. I'm
people,
not.
this and
I'm.
that.
You're the one bringing race. I'm not bringing race at all.
You
You're the
just
one
said
saying white
brown
Australians
people
are being
and different.
whatever this, and I'm like, okay.
I can talk about myself. See?
Yes.
I can say white Australian men. I can talk about myself. But
But this is a normal description of a person. What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong with being. I don't know what's wrong with you being yourself. I'm not saying you are, but if you are a white supremacist and if you're a person that believes in white power and white whatever, what is
we
wrong
don't
with
have any
you being
power.
yourself?
Where
What
do
is
you
wrong
get
with
this
that?
delusion that we got power? We don't have any power. We're at the stage where we got our backs against the wall and we're ready to become terrorists in our own country to defend ourselves like Palestinians. I don't know
I
where you
just
get
don't
this
understand from what
delusional
that comes from.
state.
You can simply rock up to a workplace and get a skill and work. No one is stopping you from doing that.
You know, diversity targets actively discriminate against white men in our own country. Not to mention the fact that the first thing that I brought up to you was the fact that there's highly motivated immigrants that are highly educated coming to Australia.
Yeah,
They're filling
compete
out
with
all the
them.
forms
You're saying
and they
that
compete.
people, if
Well,
you're a white
well, that's what.
supremacist, but I'm not saying you are, if you believe you're superior to everyone, and an immigrant
Are
that
you?
doesn't have
You're not
literally
listening
nothing
to
is doing better
anything
than
I'm
you, you're the
saying.
problem.
I'm saying that we have lost our rights. How can that be superior? We don't have any rights left. We're losing
But
all of our
what
rights.
rights have you lost specifically?
Well, here's one example for you, just so that you
Okay.
can. It doesn't seem like you have any empathy for my life at all. Like I could be stabbed right in front of you, and you'll be like, "Oh, white
What? Of
supremacists
course, I will have empathy if you
deserve to
get stabbed in
die."
front of you.
Well,
Everyone will help you.
no, they won't.
Everyone.
No, they won't.
Everyone.
Let me
Like to remind
explain.
you, I saw that yesterday at the train station. I was with a bunch of old people and a bunch of everyone was white, mind you, but I was the only brown person in the
Was it
train
an
because it was a
African?
Palestinian protest, and everyone was in the every brown person was in the protest, and I was on my way to home from work because I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going home. But even people were talking freely. I'm like, oh, these people protesting in Palestine and blah 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 blah. And I'm listening to them, and we're having a group, and we're having a conversation, and one person literally another white person purely pushed another white person, mind you, and I was the first one to step up and be like, don't push her because she's an old lady and you have no reasons to do that. I was defending this lady. The other people were like, yeah, defending this lady,
What
and the
does that
young
have to
people they
do
were
with what
also
we're
defending
talking
the lady.
about?
So we all are very grounded community.
You
Australians
defended a
are
lady.
very nice people.
You defended
Australians
a
in
lady.
general. Huh?
You didn't defend a man. You defended a white lady, not a man.
But even people were also defending another
Give me an
little tiny
example of you
teenager from
saving a
the old
white.
person. We were all having a very good fight that
But
day. But
you
anyways,
didn't save a white man's life, did you?
it doesn't matter if it was a white lady
Well,
or a
give me an
white
example
man.
of you
It was gonna
saving a
get
white man's
defended.
life.
The action doesn't justify not defending a person that is in like weak. So you cannot say to me that if you get stopped in the street, no one will care. That is an insane assumption.
Well, this
Because
is prime
Australians are very
example.
nice people, very kind people. Even
You just
people in the protest, let me finish this. People in the protest, there were brown people in the protest, Chinese people in the protest because they're Australians, regardless of the skin tone. They were there, and as soon the neo-Nazis stepped on the stage, people left because they didn't go to the protest for that. They were talking about housing, they were talking about taxes, they were talking about welfare, they were talking about real problems that are affecting all Australians. And as soon as the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists got in the thing,
the
people started
neo-Nazis are
leaving
Jews.
because they don't believe
The
in that. So
neo-Nazis
don't
are
tell me
Jews.
that if a
The
white person
neo-Nazis are
gets
Jews.
attacked in the streets, not gonna get defended. That is a very ridiculous assumption, and it talks a lot about
We can't.
what
You're
you
just
see in the
rambling.
Australian community. It's very
You're just
sad.
rambling. If I
No,
can't
no, no.
talk, you're
I'm
just
not
rambling.
rambling. I'm just
You're
I'm just
repeating
telling you.
yourself.
I'm just telling you. If a
You're
white
still
man gets
talking.
stabbed in the street, people will help. Australians are very kind and very nice people. These
And it's
people
time that
believe
we
in
stop being
community.
kind and nice. You're talking
Yes.
over me. I can't even talk to you. I'm trying to
I'm
talk
just
to you.
very
You won't.
excited. I just get very you know that
Well,
before you
relax.
got very warmed about what you were saying. Now I'm warm about what I'm saying. I'm literally telling you, if you get stopped in the street, people will help you.
I don't
Everyone
believe
will.
you. No, they
Huh?
wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
What do you mean they wouldn't? That
I'm a,
happening here all the time. When
I
people
just
get
told
affected,
you.
men or women, they get help.
I just told you. I'm a white man. When you when
And
you when you do your gender transfer into a white man and you get stabbed in the street, then you'll find out. I will tell you right now that we are unsafe in our own country. There's no safe place for white men anymore. We are in under economic, physical, economic, just every political danger everywhere we go. And I don't think you're showing the
but
empathy.
explain to me, how is that even
I'll give you one
possible?
example. You just proved it with what you just said. Firstly, I said that it's dangerous for me, and you gave an example of you defending an old white lady. You
Yes.
thought that defending an old white lady was the same as defending a white man.
Yes.
So you just prove that I'm invisible and that I could die, and you don't even know the difference between a white lady and a white man. You also
It
gave
doesn't
an
matter. It's a
example.
human. You defend a human regardless
That's
of his
what
race.
I agree, but I'm not getting treated like a human. I'm getting treated like someone that needs to die.
You know, I think what's
You don't
happening right now
understand
in
that.
your perspective.
Everybody's trying to kill me and take everything from me, and you're not listening. You're not understanding it. The other example, you gave two examples. The other example was you had a white lady boss. A white
Yes.
lady as a boss. Neither of them
Yes.
are white men. And the third one was a white Australian man saying that you shouldn't dance in the street. That's like the least offensive one out of them. But you didn't give an example of you saving a white man, a white Australian man.
Because at the end of the day, whoever gets attacked and I'm in a position of helping, I will help them regardless of what they are. And Australians in general are like this. If they see a white man, they help him. But I think let me just tell you something I think is happening right now with your people and with everything is for the longest period of time, white men had a ridiculous level of advantage just for being born a male and just for
In their
being
own
born
countries.
white. In not everywhere in the world,
No,
men,
in their own
people used to
country.
listen to the. Yeah, let me finish. People used to listen to them. People used to give them advantage. People were, kinder towards white male back in the days. Now that we are all equal, for white males that feels like oppression because how come I am equal to you? For example, you felt bad and offended and act as a threat that my vote is equal to yours. Why? Because how come a
That's
brown
true.
girl it's has the same value as me? That makes me feel oppressed. The fact that now we're equal makes me feel oppressed.
I didn't
So
say brown. You could be
huh?
purple. You could be purple.
I'm an immigrant.
You could be fluoro pink.
I'm an
Um,
immigrant. I'm
so
not a white Australian woman. If that
okay,
one is that what
so
you mean?
you're okay. So when someone comes to Australia and they get the right to vote one-on-one and cancel out my vote,
Why would it
then what?
cancel your vote? Your vote has the same value as me.
Then it counts. So if I vote Liberal, Labor, and then you vote the
Yeah.
other side, then it cancels it out. That's the definition of canceling it out.
And why
And
a person will vote different to you? What makes you
because
think I'm not gonna vote liberal?
I
What
well,
makes you think I'm gonna vote labor?
I don't vote Liberal because it's run by the Jews, and I don't vote Labor because they're probably
Exactly.
run by the
What
immigrants.
makes you what if I vote Greens? What if I vote the same as how you vote, whatever you vote?
Can you vote the No Immigrants Party, please? No More
So
Immigrants Party?
I just don't understand. Like, this is a question I've been asking for so long, and no person has ever answered. So hopefully you can help me. It's first of all, yes, no more immigration, woohoo! But I'm like, do you actually have a steps forwards to the consequence of that? Be like, hey, we want
Yes.
less immigration, let's say 25% less, and the way how we're gonna cover those works are training these people for this period of time so they can replace the immigrants that were meant to come this time and they're actually gonna study, they're actually gonna work, they're actually not gonna get any Centerlink during that time.
What
We
are you
have a
bringing?
way to
What
cover these
education are
needs.
you bringing?
But
What
yeah, but wait,
education?
let me finish. Let me
Did you
finish.
bring a PhD here? What PhD did you
No,
bring?
I came with no English. I came and studied English, and
Okay,
then
so you
I learned
came
very
here.
quick, and then I did a diploma in engineering,
Okay,
and
so you
now I'm
came
doing a
to
science degree in
Australia.
chemistry.
You came to Australia to get educated. So you didn't actually
Yes.
bring it.
No,
So that just
I
that
got
just
I just got work and the money to pay for school, and I study a lot, and then I became what I became.
yeah.
And I
So
have three
therefore,
businesses, and I'm very accomplished for someone that came here with nothing.
because we got a good education system, don't we?
Yes.
In
Well,
Australia, it's very good.
it's just a great work system. I believe you guys believe
You
more
said
than in
well.
work than
Is it
education,
better
which
than
I love.
Venezuela? Is it better than Venezuela? Is
Well,
Venezuela
it's just a
pumping out
different
better?
method. It's just a different method. So in here in Australia, people appreciate experience over education, which that's why we have UQ is very theoretical, and you have QUT, which is very
Just
work
keep it simple.
intense. It's very
do
different.
you have, is the science in Venezuela better than Australia? How many technologies are you guys pumping
I
out?
do believe for professionals that graduate in Venezuela and come with a degree here, yeah, it's actually impressive how good it is. But
Yeah.
Australia has more technology for you to apply that type
And
of knowledge you already have.
that's why our population is highly educated, so therefore we don't really need any immigrants. Also,
Well,
compared to
can you say that again?
Venezuela,
Can you say that again?
we
You're
don't
saying that Australians are highly educated and that's why you don't need any immigrants.
we're highly educated. You disagree?
Okay, that's very
Do you
interesting.
disagree?
It's a very interesting statement because
Do you
the data
disagree with the
shows
statement?
that
It's
it's a
interesting.
very interesting statement. The data
So you
shows
think Australians are not educated?
no. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're saying Australians like you're generalizing that saying Australians are highly educated. But when you talk to Australians in here in Australia, most of them admit that they don't like going to university. They actually like doing trades. They like other things. I think what you mean by highly educated, I mean is highly skilled, which I will agree with you. You can jump out of year 10 and simply do a
What are
trade.
you
That is
comparing to?
impossible in anywhere in the world. Like you cannot simply get out of year 10 and be like, I want to be a carpenter. I want to be an
You're,
electrician.
you're
And
just
that is a
going,
great thing. I love it, by the way.
all you're doing there is discounting facts. The fact is that Australia is highly educated compared to Venezuela.
It's just that it's
Well, why
not
is Venezuela poor
Australian
then?
culture. It doesn't
Why is
force people to go
Venezuela
to
poor
university.
then?
In Venezuela, we are forced to go to university. So, Australian education is for labor, which is that you educate to work. In Venezuela, we educate to go to university. So it's just very different styles and very different cultures, and I wouldn't compare them to each other because it's an
We've got
unfair trade. In
we've got some of
Venezuela,
the
kids
best
that go to
scientists in the
university
world
don't
here.
work. Kids that go to university don't work. They just study. In here, most students have a part-time job. It's very
I
weird to
don't.
find a student that works,
What are
or
you
they get a
talking about?
benefit from the government that helps them through, so they
See, this
focus on
just proves my
university.
point. This just
Huh?
proves my point. You don't even know what education is. The point
What do
is
you
that we're
mean?
highly educated, high IQs, highly educated. They're some of the
Mhm.
smartest people in the world in Australia.
Okay,
That's
so
why,
Australians are superior to Venezuelans. Move on.
well,
Is that
if
important to this conversation?
you said that Australia needs immigrants to come in
Yes, to
to
do
put
labor, to
educated
perform
immigrants,
works
and
and stuff. Yes.
I'm arguing that we're educated enough. We don't need any more.
So you guys don't
We're
need people
done.
to pick fruit in the farms and get paid $13 an hour. You don't need
So
that.
that man that you described that might have been homeless or struggling to get a job, right? He's now going to have a motivation to go out and pick fruit, and he's going to get paid a decent wage. Immigrants that
Yes,
are
yes, I
uneducated
agree
that
with
come
you
to, let,
100%.
can I finish what I'm saying? It's so frustrating that I can't even finish a sentence. The
I
more
agree.
uneducated immigrants that come to Australia, it dilutes the work pool, the employees, and lowers wages. And it pumps up the property prices. And as soon as immigration shuts down, those men that are unemployed right now will be motivated and they'll be paid enough. And they'll be able
Yes.
to afford a roof over their head. And guess what? Because they can afford a roof over their head, they can get a girlfriend and get her pregnant and start pumping out babies. But that's not what
Yes.
the globalists want. That's not what all of the Jews in Bondi Junction want. They want to get the money out and collapse this society under third world
So
immigration.
you
You
think
understand what I'm saying, don't you? You
I'm
understand what I'm
trying I'm
saying?
trying to I'm trying to
It's
paraphrase what you're
logical.
saying in normal words, which is like, do you
It's a
think
fact.
if we stop let's say we go
Yeah,
migration zero from now, like
today.
from today we go
Yeah.
migration zero.
Mm.
What do you think is gonna happen?
I think all of those people that are unemployed that you could see that were struggling in Australia, they'll get a job immediately. They'll be
Why? Because
motivated.
someone's gonna come and pick them off the street and be like, "Hey, I need you to work."
So a lot of the Centrelink and all of the payments, that's the globalists stealing money out of the mining and then giving it to people to prevent a revolution in Australia. That's
Mhm.
why. and then the immigrants come in, and then there's so many immigrants that it's
You're not
you don't
answering my
get paid
question.
enough.
You're not answering
What's the
my question.
question?
If the question is, from today, we're going migration zero. Let's end a scenario. Migration zero, Australia. And it's gonna be like that forever. We're not gonna have more migration. So it means that everyone that is pickpacking in the farm right now with a temporary visa, regardless they're coming from Europe or China or Palestine.
Looks like she's
Sorry, I just got a call. Sorry.
back.
Regardless of where they come from,
I get it. Let me answer.
everyone from all the temporary visas gone. You guys gotta pack up your shit
Let
and
me
gone.
answer that. Let
And
me
we're
answer
gonna go
that.
zero migration from new immigrants, and we're gonna
Let me
rely
answer
on
that.
the people that are citizens,
Can I answer
not in
that
a
or not?
temporary visa.
Can I answer
Okay.
that or not?
Okay.
All right. So one, the permanent migration that go to the city and take and dilute the working pool and make it so expensive to have a roof over your head, and they lower wages because there's too many of them. If we cut that out, that would be okay. But when you mentioned temporary visas,
Yes, all the temporary
now
visas also gone.
no. In Singapore and in Hong Kong, they have temporary visas, and they don't get citizenship. They can work in Singapore and they can work in Hong Kong, and then when they finish their visa, they need to get out. Now the question is,
just like it is in here.
Will there be enough people that would be willing to do that? And I would argue that Australia is one of the most highly sought after places. You yourself traveled from the other side of the world, and you're dealing with all of the paperwork to come to Australia. I would argue that people would still be motivated to do the temporary visa stuff, and that would be great for Australia. We can do that.
Yes,
but we can shut down
people,
permanent
in my
immigration.
comment section of the video you got me from, everyone says temporary visas are the problem because they come to Australia, they work and they live, but because they can live anywhere they want, they rather live in the city because they are not forced to live in a regional area because they don't want a residency. So actually, temporary visas are the main problem because they are not forced to do what Australian government wants them to do.
So
They
this is
simply
the
come
beauty
here,
of
work, and live.
this is the beauty of talking to someone that can solve problems. Temporary visa, they work for say 1 year out on a farm, and they get 1 year to spend their money in the city, and then they go home.
They work 88 days in a farm,
but no permanent residence.
But they also
Japan
can
has
apply
been doing it for 30
you
years.
can also apply for a residency card.
Japan's been no, and there's no permanent residency unless you're part of. We can negotiate that later on, but shut down
You
permanent
simply get a
residence.
sponsorship, and eventually you get a residency if you're working in an industry they want you to work in.
No, and
Yeah, that's how it
I
works.
would say there would still be a need for people to do that. I would say there would still be people that would be willing to come, pick fruit, work, save up the cash, and then be able to live in the city for a year for a free
They
year
get
or
22
whatever.
years actually. Yeah. So you do
Whatever.
33 days and whatever. Yeah,
Spending
if there's
money,
a rule for it. But like
even if look,
I'm just saying.
let me
People,
finish. They go work out on the farm, and then they go to the city. This is easily solved. Give them 2 years. I don't care. Go do cash work. I don't care. And then at the end of it, go home. Don't
yes,
come
but
in
in
and
my
then get
comment section,
don't get permanent residence and then get voting rights and then get political. There's so many immigrants in Australia right now that are on TikTok, that are on Instagram, that are getting very, very political. And it is an offense. It is genocide. It is colonizing my country. And it is
but
so
don't you guys
offensive.
have freedom of speech? So you're saying that having the opportunity to exercise your freedom of speech is a threat to white cis men because now everyone has the same rights as white cis men, and that's why white cis men feel oppressed,
in
and
our own
that's why
country.
people are coming out on the street and they're having these extreme beliefs just because now everyone is equal and you don't feel it's fair that someone that is less than you is equal to you. Is that what we're saying?
See, what you're not comprehending is that we are not superior. You keep saying that I'm superior when I'm
But
telling you that I'm
you just
oppressed.
felt offended because my vote is the same as yours.
Because it oppresses me. You don't have
So you're
empathy for my
saying
life.
that you don't feel you're superior, but the fact that we have the same rights oppresses you. It means that you
In my
will feel more
country,
comfortable. You will feel more
do you believe in
comfortable.
borders? Do you like the fact that America fucks around with Venezuela all the
Why
time?
you're
And
changing the conversation? We're talking about
it's
migration in
exactly the same
Australia and
conversation.
about you feeling
Do
offended
you
that we have the same rights.
do
That's
you
concerning.
like the fact that America has the Monroe Doctrine? Do you know what the Monroe Doctrine is?
I don't care about America. I don't give a shit about them. That's why I moved to Australia. I'm focusing on an Australian
We're
problem, and we're talking
talking
about
about.
Australian cis men.
I'm
Don't
on
talk about
point.
Europe or anywhere else.
I'm on point here because you've just immigrated to my country, and
Yes.
I'm so you're
10 years
saying
ago,
that,
but yeah.
so you're saying that only you have the right to come to Australia. I don't have a
No,
right to go anywhere. I have to
no.
die here.
Whoever deserves it and whoever fills the gap that Australia needs deserves
Well,
to
let me
come if they
finish.
come rightly.
You're not
Yes.
comprehending what I'm saying. We'll go back to what I'm saying. I'll say it slower. Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine means that the United States controls all of South America. And that's one of the reasons why South America is poor. That's why Venezuela was rich. And then they crushed your ability to sell oil because you were going to get rich. You were going to build a military and you were going to be able to defend yourself from the United States.
That never happened, but okay.
Now, because of the United States and the Monroe Doctrine, your country's poor, and then you have to come to my country.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Okay.
I'm Venezuelan. That's not what happened. You're not even close to what happened.
I'm
Not
an
even.
expert in geopolitics. It is what happened. You just got brainwashed in your schools and you don't know
No,
the
no, no,
real
no, no.
facts of
That's
your
not what
country.
happened. We just simply had a dictatorship that we couldn't trump. And this person, the best client we had was US. And we actually had and survived an economy because US was paying money. Russia has never paid any cent on petrol. China has never paid anything. Right now, China has the rights to our oils and coltan for the next 10 years, and including gold mines, and we are not paying anything because of the amount of money we own to China. So it's a governmental, it's an internal issue. And to be honest with you, everyone comes with these theories of like the US is controlling
I deal
Latin
with
America,
facts.
blah, 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 all these like theories. And when you go to them and you actually understand the culture and you actually were in the voting system and you get into the actual deep nitty gritty of things,
Hang on,
none of
just get to
that
the
is
point.
actually true. That's why we have El
Just get to the
Salvador.
point.
El Salvador is the proof that none of what you're saying is actually true. We just have a terrible culture that appreciates leadership that is shit. That's all it is.
So
It's a cultural thing. It has nothing to do
you do
with.
a lot of talking, but you don't give me a chance in between. You got to give me a chance in between. We're having a
I can give you a
constant
chance in
problem
between,
here.
but what you're saying is actually not true. But if you want to believe your disbelief, you're allowed to do as well.
That's all fluff, okay? I said something, and then you said it was the leadership in Venezuela that is why your country is poor. The
And I never
leadership.
said that. I said it's a
You had
cultural thing.
a dictatorship or something? The
Okay, so
political
it
system?
is deeper. It is way deeper than what you're mentioning, and I don't want to talk about it because this is not what we're here for. We're here talking about migration in Australia and why cis supremacist men, whatever, feel offended because now we
No,
have equal
you're
rights and
being
they are
racist.
equal to women, and they feel offended because
You're
now
being
we're equal.
racist.
That's it. That's what we're discussing right now.
You're being racist to Australian that you immigrated to, and I'm trying to get to the crux of why you left Venezuela in the first place. If
Oh yeah,
Venezuela
okay,
was
there you
rich,
go.
if
Thank you for asking. I left Venezuela because I was a protester, and I'm gonna step into protesting, right? So they haven't. You guys in Australia, I come from a very protesting background and a very political involved background. I did young
yeah,
diplomacy for 3 years, for
and
three
so
years
now you're a
straight.
direct threat to me politically within my own country. You're gonna leave your own country because you got political. You're gonna come to Australia, get political, and then you're gonna try to take away my rights. No wonder white
I'm not
men are
trying to
angry.
take anyone's rights away. We all have the same rights,
No,
and I
we
wanted to
don't.
keep it that way.
No, we
That's it.
don't.
We have the same rights. What rights do you have that I don't have?
So if Venezuela was rich and doing really well, you wouldn't have left Venezuela.
Who care? Exactly right. You right on the spot. I didn't have the need to leave. I was very well adjusted over there. But this
Mm.
the whole society was getting very dangerous for me to exist. Then I got in political trouble that I'm not going to discuss right here. And I had to come here because that was the best option in between Germany, Costa Rica, Brazil, and Australia. I had plenty of options, and I chose Australia because I could study and work at the same time. And I also wanted to learn English instead of German. That's all it was. I already know Portuguese. I already know Spanish. I
That's
wanted to
fine.
learn English. I had no interest in German.
That's fine.
When I
That's
came
fine.
here, listen, when I came here, I didn't expect this country to be what it is. I had no expectations. All I wanted was to get out of the situation I was because I was in need. Australia allowed me to be here, and I did exactly what the Australian government wanted me to do, which is study, work, and be an active member of this community. I did
Mm.
everything I had to do, and I became a citizen. I love Australia to death. This country saved me
But you
personally
hate
and
white
spiritually. I'm
cis
gonna
men.
cry for this shit. I love this country so
You
much.
hate the white cis men that built the
No, no, no.
country
Listen,
and
I
made the
don't hate
culture.
white cis men, and I never said that. I never said that. I dated two of them. I cannot hate people. It's not in my space to hate anyone for any
Okay,
fucking reason.
so
So
the
what I'm saying
culture
right
is
now
that
is white cis men feel offended because they used to have this ridiculous amount of privilege, and now that we equal, they feel offended. They feel like
no,
oppressed. That's what's
no,
happening. If you don't want to agree with it, that's
victim.
okay. But that's
It's
exactly
not
what's
true.
happening.
It's not true. It's not true. You said
What
yourself
rights
many
do you
times,
have that I don't have? Like, what rights you don't have that I have? Like, what benefits do I have that you don't have?
everything. So you can marry a
What
white man.
everything?
You could let me give you one really good example then, because you're in my country. I know how my country works. You told me I don't know how your country works when I do know how your country works. So you could marry a white guy tomorrow, or you could live
Mm-hmm.
with him for 6 months and then divorce him and take all of his money. Who's the privileged
You
one in
sign a
that
prenup.
situation?
Also, protect yourself.
They don't work. You're
What
in
do
my
you mean they don't
country.
work?
Let me
No, prenups work
explain
here
how
and
my
in
country
China.
works.
What
Huh?
do you mean prenups don't work?
They don't work in Australia. You're in my country. Let me educate you on the country you're in.
By the way, I got divorced recently, so I know a lot about divorces. And I'm telling you, prenups benefit whoever the prenup is meant to benefit.
In Australia?
Yes, you sign a
So,
binding document
so
that
you've
goes
been here
attached to your
10 years.
certificate.
You've been here 10 years. You've already got a divorce. Where's
Yes,
your
with a
kids?
Spanish guy. Yeah.
Where's your kids then? Oh, well, he was broke then, was he? Was he broke or was he
No,
rich?
no, 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 no. Okay, so I have never been. I've been in a serious relationship with Australian men. That hasn't worked for cultural reasons
No,
and
the
also
Spanish
different
man.
beliefs.
The guy you divorced. Stop
From
going
Spain.
off into space.
Yeah, from
Specific
Spain.
thing.
He didn't want to live in Australia anymore because
What from
he didn't like
Spain? Was he a
Australia.
millionaire? Was he a
No, no,
millionaire or
no.
not?
Listen,
But
listen.
that's why he didn't get any
I'm
money.
trying to answer the question. Do you want me to answer the question or not?
Was he
Okay.
rich or not? No.
Not.
That's why he didn't get any money. So the prenup didn't matter because he had no money.
No, I was the one with the money. And it
Exactly.
protected me.
Exactly. So you're not listening to anything I'm saying. If you married a rich Australian guy tomorrow, you could just extort him for all of his cash tomorrow. That is privilege. That's white women in Australia privilege because it's a feminist society and
But that
socialist
is a
society.
lie. If
It's
you have a
true.
prenup, actually, let me just put you something in general because I think you're entering in this space, and this is just a theory. I'm not sure, you know what I mean? But you're entering on the space as well of like men in general are oppressed, but also white men are even more oppressed, right? That's what we're going in here for what I can think
Okay.
of.
Okay. Look,
And let me just put it out there before you do anything.
I'll
When
give you
a
something you've never
family,
heard before.
when a family is built, and you're saying, well, I married this woman right now, and she stopped working because she had to have my children. And it's been 3 to 4 years. The relationship didn't work out, but she stopped working. She stopped having her own development. She stopped becoming a skilled person because I asked her to become a housewife, but that didn't work out because it's probably not gonna work out. She's not happy. She's not happy with me. Whatever, whatever.
Just
We're
get
having
to the
financial
point.
struggles because there is less, whatever. Now the divorce comes, this man has to pay off the fact that she is unskilled. These laws are meant to protect women because they make babies and they get less financial opportunities in the future. So to protect women and to protect the
Okay,
child
look,
of these
you're
women,
boring everybody
these
in the
laws
chat.
are made.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. You spend 5 minutes explaining something that could be explained in 2 words.
No,
But let me give you
I just wanna
something
be
new.
very clear, because I think
We
you think
understand it.
these
Look, we've
laws are
heard it all
made to
before.
do you think these laws are
You're
made to oppress white men,
look, the
directly
chat,
targeting white
the
men? And it's
chat,
not like that.
the chat is one of the highest educated chats in the world. You're in Australia. So let me give you
Chats.
something. The chat, the people watching right now. So let me explain something to you you've never heard before then. So for my entire life, white men have been totally open to immigration. We've been the least racist people on earth. We've allowed immigrants to come in and destroy our own countries. Now, my question to you is, all of this ideas that we're privileged, what happens when we decide to fight back? What happens when we start to use our intellect and our might, and we start getting violent and we start taking back our countries?
So it's
And you start,
justifiable to be violent in this case, you say?
I would also say that Palestinians that are being genocided, they have the right to defend themselves the same way a white Australian does that's being genocided right now. We're nowhere near in the same situation, but if things continue to go the same way, white Australian men will be genocided the same way as the Palestinians. We're heading in the same direction. And the people ruling Australia are the same people doing the genocide in Palestine. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that the same people that you say to keep the GDP high and keep the country all rich and everything, they're the same pieces of shit that are murdering people in Palestine? Do
By
you
the
think
way,
they give
I
a
do
fuck
agree with
about
you on
us?
this one. No, I
They
just want to make
don't give
sure.
a fuck
I just
about
want to make
us.
sure. I don't believe the government is doing the right work in Australia. I do believe that too.
The
Don't
government
mind me
is
wrong.
Israel.
I'm not saying like, oh my God, I love the government of Australia. No, I'm not saying that. And you have the rights to be like, what you're doing is wrong. And the reason why this country works is because there is people like you and there's people out there that protect their rights and speak up their minds. And that's the reason why this country works, right? Am I wrong or am I
True.
right?
That's true, because
Okay.
you walk around and you're not going to get shot like in Venezuela.
Yeah.
There's no
You're
like
100% right. You're
there's no
100% right.
there's
You're
no like
100% right. And the reason why I moved to this
there's no
country is because it was very
there's
hard.
no cocaine dealing and like export. But the thing is, the reason the men that you hear like myself, it's not that bad right now, but it will be. And that's what intelligence is.
Can you
Being
repeat
able
that
to
again?
see. So it's not that bad right now, but if the trend continues, Australia will become Venezuela. Okay? It will
And that's
be.
the reason. And to be honest with you, I had the same fears 3 years ago. I saw the roads, they were not built, and I panicked. And I'm like, we're very close to
So
people losing their minds and
so
becoming
as a
socialists and
Latina,
then leaving.
so
I
as a
agree with you.
Latina from Venezuela, I went to South America. I gotta say, Venezuela, like South American girls are awesome, and you guys listen. You shit all over Australian women. So I'm hoping that you listen to this part of it. You need to trust men like me because we built this shit. We built this country and it's safe. You need to trust what we say and stop calling us white supremacists and stop calling us because we're the least racist.
I don't
You
believe
need to
all of you
trust
are
us.
racist and white supremacists. I never said that. The thing is that I think you're not listening properly. I don't believe there is nothing wrong with you being white. Absolutely
Me
nothing wrong with
either.
you being brown. Nothing wrong with people being
I hope
anything.
not.
No. There is nothing wrong. And I believe victimizing yourself is putting you in a position when you lose power. And I'm telling you from someone that used to get victimized by like, oh my God, I'm a girl, I'm brown, I don't speak the language, I don't have this, I don't have that, blah, 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 victim. When you get out of that victim mindset, you literally can reach whatever you want to reach. You say, hey, well, I believe white male, cis, whatever, we are not doing very well mentally, financially, because we're getting oppressed. No, get out of the victim mindset and be like, what can we do as a male society to be better. Maybe we should be working to be better fathers. Maybe we should be working to get even more skills to make more money. Maybe we should actually implement the values we have. For example, if you have a very, I don't know if you're conservative or whatever, but if you have a very conservative value, take actions into it and be the
I don't know what
example
that
others
means.
can see. But if you play on the victim mindset of like, oh my God, poor me, I'm just a white cis male, no one cares about, fuck, no, that's boring. Just put your
I'm
mind
not.
into action.
I'm definitely not doing that. If every white Australian man acted like me, the country would have already been taken back. And that's why I'm using social media to get my ideas out there. Are you? Have you? You know, what are the three most important technologies that you use?
Say again,
Like,
sorry?
what's your favorite three technologies? What
What do you mean by
technology?
technologies?
Like mobile phone, I don't know, electricity, air conditioning, I don't know. What are the three technologies that you use the most?
They use the most my laptop and my phone
Laptop,
and my
phone.
ring lights. Yeah.
Let's just say you Googled who invented the laptop, who invented the mobile phone, who
Oh yeah,
invented.
you're gonna have a war of how men built everything. That's what you're gonna
No,
say
I'm
right
not
now.
gonna. No, no, not when. What? Not men. You will just see white men's faces when you Google all those
Yes.
inventions. So don't think that
Yes.
what the thing is, it's not that we're victims. We're going to be victims if we continue to be nice. If we continue to be kind and we
So you
continue to
say that
allow
white men
people,
should be aggressive in order to get what they want, and simply just getting because of their actions and their
we're being
attitudes and their
oppressed
value.
right now. We're being oppressed and it's our fault. We're allowing the oppression to happen. And I'm saying that we need to we're not going to get empathy from people. And that's what I brought up with you before. If I was
Yes,
stabbed in the street, no one's going to care. And so
that is a
therefore
lie, but yeah. Okay.
it's true. It's true.
Okay.
The
I could say
government,
the same. I'm a brown person living with a lot of white people. If I get stopped in the street, no one's gonna care about me. I could say the same
but,
thing,
but
but
we're
it's a
not
lot.
in Venezuela. If we were in Venezuela, then that would matter. If I was in Venezuela saying that people are racist to me in Venezuela, people would say, just get the fuck out then. Go home, Dave. You see,
Yeah,
you're in
exactly.
Australia.
No,
So
because in Venezuela
therefore,
we don't have racism because the language doesn't allow it.
yeah, because that's how your country is built by your people.
Yes,
And
we
that's
don't.
why
Well,
you
I didn't
needed
know
to
I was
leave.
brown until I arrived to Australia. I didn't know my mom was white and my dad was dark brown until I came here and someone pointed out that my mom was white.
You look very white to me.
I'm not white. I'm brown. My dad
If
is
you were on
actually
if you were
Arabic.
on a train in where is it, Charlotte, and there was all Africans on there, you might find yourself in the same situation as that Ukrainian girl.
Yeah, probably, probably.
Yeah, because they're not going to tell until you open your mouth. They're not going to tell the difference. And
Yeah,
that's the thing. You've actually, I bet if you look into it, you got maybe Spanish or maybe a bit of European blood. So the thing
yeah.
is, when you're saying cis white men, what I tried to argue for the last decade is that white Australian women have complained about white men for such a long time. Now they're getting raped and stabbed and everything in the street, and they're now turning to us to defend them. And I'm like, let's not. And
To
so
be
my argument
honest,
for you
to be
too,
honest,
let me finish. My
yeah.
argument for you too is if people wanted something from Venezuela, they could easily go there, get on TikTok, get on Instagram and go, oh, that lady Sarah, she's a racist. She oppressed the indigenous population of Venezuela. See, she's
Mhm.
not brown enough. So we should, I don't know, arrest her, take her job, take her money, take everything from her. That's the same argument that's being held against me. And the funny thing is, you're using that same argument, but the thing is, word spreads, and this is like tapping the pool. You tap the pool and the ripples go out, it will come back to you. I promise you. And so you
To
should
be
not
honest,
be
I feel
arguing this way.
sorry. I feel sorry you feel that way because that is the environment you're in. I just cannot physically see that ever happening to anyone in the real life case because I have never seen racism against white men. I
Oh,
have never seen
let me give
I
you
have
one
never seen,
example.
oh my God, I'm gonna stop listening to the guy because it's a white man. Like I've never seen that.
It happens every day online. We're the first to get censored as well. Let me explain to you what happened to me. I had a hip replacement. I also
Okay.
lost my job because I was disabled. They fired me for being disabled. And then I
Give me
lost
3 seconds. Give me 3 seconds. Hey, hey, ¿qué pasa? Sorry. We just got a brand new puppy and she was crying. So
a cat. Oh,
give me 3 seconds.
so this is why we should go
Sorry.
to Venezuela and then come back. So I went down to the local charity because I lost my job and I lost all my money. I had a lot of medical bills. I turned up in
Yeah.
crutches as a white Australian man, and there were two Gen X white women that were probably in their 60s working in the charity.
Yeah.
And I asked them for help because I was literally disabled and in chronic pain, in crutches.
Yeah.
Okay. And an African refugee family came in and they turned to the African refugee family and they said, oh, everything's free for you. Here, free this, free that. But the dying white disabled man, me, they said I needed to pay. So my own white women are trying to genocide me within my own country,
Right.
let alone
Because there is
Chinese,
an assumption that you have
let alone,
help at home and that
and
you
it's a
don't have,
false,
yeah, you have everything, even though you
and
don't.
you've got the same false assumption when you're talking to me. And that's the thing. There's also people. So the fact that you're having a dialogue, which I'm very thankful for,
That's
there's
okay.
people that wouldn't have this dialogue. You know, there's actual agents in Australia that are immigrants that are working for the CCP. They're working for the United States. They're working for Israel. They're working for India. They're working for South Korea. They're working for Japan. And they're actively trying to destabilize the society. They're not going to have a discussion with me. They're actively trying to change the political system to turn us into Venezuela. Why? Because we are a military threat to other countries in Asia. This is why I'm also trying to let you know that Australia, if Australia collapses, you're going to collapse with it. And that's why you should look to me and listen to what I have to say. You know, you should trust me because my forefathers, my bloodline built this shit. You
I
get what
don't
I'm
believe you
saying,
should
right?
trust anyone.
You should trust me.
I don't believe you should trust anyone just because you have your own interest and your own agenda. And because you believe your
No.
own agenda and your own interest is for the good of Australia, which is not coming from a bad intent. It's not coming from
Then
a bad intent.
well, then what you do is I want you to go back to those technologies. I want you to Google who invented those technologies. And
Yeah,
I
but
want you
what
to
does it have to
understand,
do with anything?
because engineers and the scientists that created those technologies, they wanted to make the world a better place.
But now we have new technologies, new scientists, new female scientists, brown men scientists. Like we have been plenty of people doing innovations in other countries in Africa. Like Australia and US and England is not the entire world. We have people doing incredible development in Africa. We have people doing incredible development in Qatar and Dubai. The world is expanding in a massive way, and the Australian dream, the American dream, and the British dream is no longer a dream people tend to go and be. Like we just have to get out of the mentality that white people made everything and nothing
You
goes
didn't
beyond
listen.
that. We have a
You
very
didn't.
cultural,
That's
very
not.
beautiful
That's not the
world to live
point.
in.
That's not the point. A lot of that
Wait, just give me
technology.
3 seconds. What the fuck?
So that wasn't the point, obviously, for you guys listening. I made it very clear to her that a lot of the technologies were created by white men,
Yes.
and we did that.
And
No,
that's
let me
beautiful.
finish.
Thank you
I'm
so
talking.
much for your collaboration, I
Let
guess.
me
I don't
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. She keeps cutting me off for some reason. So the whole idea is that to make the world a better place. A lot of the white men that invented those technologies wanted to make the world a better place. And so what I'm trying to explain to you and the people at home would definitely agree is
well,
that
it's
we're
mostly white
trying.
guys in the comments, but yeah.
I don't know about that. But that's the thing. Like you can't discount them because of that. Because who built Australia? You know,
Yeah.
who built Australia?
Yeah.
It
And do
wasn't
you
white
think
women.
do
It
you
wasn't white
think
women.
I have a question, but yeah. Hello, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. So I'm saying, do you think? And I'm going back to my rhetorical is like the dream for what I'm seeing people in the comments as well is saying zero migration, zero females and males having the same rights. Like, no, we all have to have the same rights, which is something we already have. But let's just go back to it, like having actually the same rights, as you mentioned, right? Is that what we want? Am I in the right lane?
So countries that are now dominating in the world are
I'm
China
not
and
asking that.
Russia.
I'm asking a question. Your goal as a person, as Australian man, is to say to the public we should have zero migration, men and women should have the same rights, and what else?
Just less immigration so that it stops impinging on what I've got. Because every day
Exactly.
more immigrants get into Australia, I lose more rights, I lose more wealth, I lose my future, and the same as every other white man in the country. And
Good job.
you also need to, there's one other thing I want to say is that there's nothing about playing victim here, because you got to think how truly hardworking and how competent and how intelligent and how empathetic the white man has been to carry all of this third world immigration. We're literally carrying people, and those same people don't understand how much we're carrying them. You know Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological term where you're just not smart enough to understand that you're dumb, and that's what happens with so many immigrants to Australia, especially Africans. They don't understand what is really going on, and there's so many white men in Australia that are just carrying all of the immigrants. And another factor is also
Sorry, I'm just
I
gonna
don't.
I'm just gonna answer a comment in here. I'm
Let
I'm
me
not
let me
ignoring
finish.
him. I'm just looking at the
This is
side because
really
I'm
important.
listening.
This
Sorry.
is really important. I want you to also understand. A decade ago, I started this channel to talk about China, and I was saying
Okay.
that China is the richest country in the world. Not only technology transfer and everything that's going on over there, and that they are now the alpha males. They are now the ones that have all the technology and
Yep.
they are the most advanced. And I've been
Yep.
saying that for a decade, just so you know, because I've been doing
Yeah.
geopolitical analysis on this channel all this time. So
Yeah, that's
there's
a
not me
fact.
saying
Yeah.
white men are superior. I'm saying we've now come to a point where China has now balanced the West, and their technology is not only on par. If you looked at the military parade that they had only last week, it was superior to the United States. And so technology wise, they've got 5G internet, they're pumping out more cars, they're pumping out more
What's
phones.
the point of that?
What I'm saying now is now white men, we need to go back, we need to become protectionist, we need to go back into our caves, and we need to rebuild the next technologies to compete with China. You
I agree
understand
with
what I'm
you.
trying to say? And
But
so
it's not just white men, it's everyone.
no, because as an Australian, this is what I want for my country. We need to shut down immigration so that men like myself can go back in and we can recalibrate, we can reorganize, we can get prepared for the next technology industrial revolution that's going to happen. And if we don't, and we get drowned with third world immigration that don't understand anything, we're never going to get out of this shithole. And then what we're going to have to do is Australia will become Venezuela, and we will have to go and hide somewhere else. And I'm already looking for that place right now because I don't think that that's going to happen. And the thing is, you're going to suffer as well if white men in Australia cannot compete with China. You're going to suffer. This
They
place will
already
become.
cannot. And I don't believe culturally speaking, and this is from my ex-Australian boyfriend.
Have you been to
He
China
told
though?
me, he
Have you
told
been to
me
China?
what no, and my ex-Australian boyfriend, he told me it's like what I love about Australia, and this is something we're losing, is like how chill we are. He says that's the Australian culture. It's like, no worries, mate. I'll fix it. That's fine. Chill, relax. That type of vibe is the core of the Australian white men. Being chill. Yeah, I'll fix it. Whatever. Like being a little bit like, it doesn't matter.
You know
It's
what that
not that
means?
important.
Do
And
you know what that means though?
no. But let me finish a little bit with my theory. It's like, and that is great. I actually love that about Australians. And in my first 3 to 4 years in here, I was just
You know
like,
what that
it's
means?
very easy to like at work. It's very easy to be outstander because you give your 70%, and you're already doing more than everybody else. And it's very sad for me to say this, but he told me, it's like, no, you should chill. Life shouldn't be about work. It should be about incredible lifestyle and building. And Australians are very good at that. Are very like, like putting lifestyle as the first thing instead of work. Not work to live, or not live to work, work to live. And I love that about you guys. That's incredible. But I don't think with that mindset, if you take all the immigrants away doing the labor and everything and feeling welfare, feeding welfare, if you take all that away, all those benefits and all that comfy, cushy lifestyle you have because someone else is doing the labor you're not willing to do, it's gonna be a huge crack. Like it can build the country or it can break it. Like it could be that. And I don't know if Australian
That's
men
not up to
and
you.
women right now are capable of build themselves up.
Did you
I
get
don't
an
think,
economics degree?
huh?
Do you have an economics degree?
Well, I have an engineering degree and
You know,
numbers.
you know what I'm
No,
saying
no, no.
here.
But you know,
Just
I
trust
understand your
me.
point. But this is my perspective,
Again,
and
again,
I
this
listen
this
to
is
you.
this is the problem. I
But
need
I'm
you to just
listening to
trust
I
me.
just want to
We
clear
can
something. I'm
figure it out.
listening to you. I'm listening to you, and I just want you to understand my perspective, which
I've
is
heard that. I've
right
heard
now.
that. I've heard
I
that
don't think so.
perspective. That
Huh?
what you just said, I've heard a million times, and it's just not
Yeah.
true. I was working 7 days a week in Sydney
Yes. You're very
after having
wealthy.
no. Listen, you said chill, blah blah blah. No, I was working 7 days a week after having my last hip replacement. I was starting work at 6 a.m. in the morning, finishing at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then doing a restaurant job at nighttime, getting home at 10 p.m. and
And
studying
that's what
twice a
every
week.
Australian should
So,
do. You're
so
doing the
what I'm
right
trying,
thing.
no, look, don't talk about Australia as if you know Australia. I'm just trying, you're up in Brisbane, you dated some guy that's like, oh yeah, it's real chill. The chill attitude is a maturity that is designed to prevent any sort of conflict.
I agree.
You see, and it's not laziness. It is a chill. It's like you got some irrational dude chucking a tantrum, or some irrational Australian woman chucking a tantrum. You go, oh, it's all right, doesn't matter. She'll be right, mate. Because the person's a fool. It comes across as like a cultural thing, but it's avoiding conflict. You see,
Yeah.
and we're not lazy. We're not lazy. If you look at the
I'm not
country,
saying that you're
some of,
lazy. I never said
if
that.
you look at the country, some of the problem in Australia, some of the most people, if you look at, like, you Google what are the health problems that Australians suffer from the most, it's like back problems.
Yeah.
It's like overworking, knees, problems getting from overworking and doing physical labor. That's what's killing Australians. But
Mm-hmm.
now the latest version is white men committing suicide. That's one of the
Yeah.
largest problems right now.
Concerning.
And so I would much prefer them to get out there and do some work and be a lot more happy, get paid a
Mm-hmm.
good wage, be able to get a
Mm-hmm.
roof over their head, get themselves a girl, start pumping out some babies, and then give the rest of the Australians the ability to think their way on how we can navigate Asia and compete with China and a collapsing Japan and Indonesia on our doorstep with 225 million people and a massive military. We need to be able to plan this out. But the Israelis that run the Australian government don't give a fuck about this place geopolitically. They don't care if we become Venezuela. They've got their own Monroe Doctrine for Australia. They're going to milk this thing and they're going to collapse this society, and they don't give a fuck. Men like myself,
If what you're saying
it's
is
true.
true, which is a reality, it could happen. It could. I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm actually saying that could happen.
Well,
It'll be easy.
chat.
Actually, the
Look at the
Australian
chat. Look at the
culture is
chat.
very
Look at the
similar.
chat. Look at the chat.
I'm not
How
saying it.
how wrong have I been over the last decade, chat? I've been there a decade. I've made a lot of predictions.
She's being
How
trained by
often have I been
Maslow.
inaccurate? That's
Oh,
what's
I'm
happening in
not pissed,
Australia.
darling. I barely get angry. I can't get
Mm.
angry. It's a problem. I should be able to get more angry. She's not. No, no, no. I'm listening to what he's saying. The thing is, I have to look on the other way so I can listen properly. I don't understand. Pathetic man line up five.
Steven's saying that the women are left are like 5s out of 10. They're ugly. He's saying they're ugly, which is it's not that true.
I mean,
It's not
that's
that
very
true.
mean. Like that's
There's
not
some hot,
true.
but I
No,
think
I'm literally, if my emotions were ruling my head, I right now I feel very sad for everything you're saying. If that's
it's
what it's
true.
saying,
It is
I
true.
will
It
feel
is
very sad
true.
for what you're saying. It's just because if you feel like that in your own country, that's why a lot of men go to other country, like other white men go to other country to feel praised because they are not gonna get any a prize or praised in here in Australia. Like that's gonna happen. Like if you go, for example, to Philippines or whatever, for Australian men, it's very easy to get a girl because again, those girls need the money, but also because they're white, and somehow culturally speaking, you always have to
That's a
look up to get whiter or
that
have a whiter
that's a
family.
that's
That's
a
very normal.
prostitute. That's a prostitute you're talking about. That's not a
No,
real
like a lot of
girlfriend.
men go. There's a lot of passport bros. That's very normal. You cannot deny that exists.
If the girl is with you for money, she's a hoe. So you're
Yeah.
adopting a prostitute, and that's not a real relationship.
Um.
So we're
I'm not.
agreed.
Let me just have a
We're
look at the
agreed
chat
now.
again.
So you're now going to listen to every white Australian man and trust us from now on, and we're going to shut down immigration. Have I convinced you? And don't worry about
It's just
oh
not
look,
gonna. I mean, to be from a perspective of numbers and the Australian need and how maybe it's because I'm living in Brisbane and you live in Sydney and we live different realities. But Brisbane without migration, I believe the universities will shut down because who's gonna be there? Mostly UQ that relies highly on internationals, and it's one of the biggest, but they rely
don't
hugely
worry.
on internationals.
Don't worry about that. We've got enough professors to educate who is here. Don't worry
No, no,
about
no.
that. Don't,
The problem is them losing their jobs. Like I'm not saying that no, no, it's universities shutting down because they will not be able to maintain all the spaces they have. Probably
there's enough
because
universities. Trust me,
no,
there's
no,
enough
no. I'm not saying there's
universities.
enough universities. There is not enough people studying to fill those universities. You know what I mean? Like, if you, this is my theory. Again, you can believe whatever you believe, and I
I've
agree.
heard
You
this all
have,
before.
I agree with you,
I've
100%.
heard
You
this
need to put,
before. I've heard this before. It's the second largest export that Australia has is education. I'm
yes, but
fully
I'm not saying
I'm
this.
fully aware of that, and I'm happy to lose that. Collapse
Okay,
it. We don't
okay,
need it.
collapse. Okay. Collapsing the educational system, that's unavoidable. Of course, the price of the food's gonna go up because there's gonna be less people pickpacking until Australians get up their sleeves and be like, okay, and now I have to pickpack, you know. When they
No,
get into
because
that
I just
transition,
explained to you that white men will get in there and will figure out some new technologies to solve all of those problems. That's what I
yes,
just
I agree with
explained to
you. If
you.
you put the pressure in, they will. But that's going to take
Technology and,
decades.
and technology will solve that problem real fast. But we
Yeah.
can't solve those problems if we're flooded with third world immigrants trying to tell us how to run our own country that don't
I'm not
understand shit
telling you
about
how
it.
to run your own
Not you.
country, by the
Yeah,
way.
well, I that sounded like I was having a shot at you. You're talking to me, but the rest of them, they come in and they're trying to get in. They're trying to tell us how to run our own country. This is a big issue as well, and this is what's affecting Australia's future as well. You got all these immigrants coming in, and we don't know if they have the best.
Interest.
They don't have. We don't know if they have the best
Interest.
interest
The
of the
best
country
interest.
of the country at
Um,
heart. A lot of
I
them are
do,
Asian.
as a person that votes, because you care about the immigrants that vote. The temporary visas, don't worry about them. No one cares. Let's talk about the people that actually can make a difference, which is someone that votes. Um, I do believe that people that have the capability to stay in this country, make a living, build a house from scratch, because again, the difference between Australian born and Australian immigrant is that we are not allowed to be poor. You, for example, I'm not saying you specifically, but like most what like Australian born, they have the freedom to be poor because they have a safety net which is called family. If, for example, I fail in life and I'm not capable of buying a house, most people will have a home with their parents, and they can go back and live with their parents, and they have the safety net, which allows them somehow the freedom to not succeed. Immigrants that come here with nothing, they have to hustle, and they don't have freedom to be poor. That's why I work 7 days a week. And people
We don't have
sometimes
that
don't
either
get it.
here. Very
Huh?
few Australians, because of immigration and because of government policies, we don't really have families in Australia either. I don't have any family I can rely on.
Why is
I don't
that?
have any family. It's just how it is in Australia.
What do you mean how it is? Like,
So part of the issue is we've been rich for too long, and the boomers and Gen X, they don't understand that the economy's changed. They think that it's still 1970, and you can buy a house for $1,000 and it's going to turn into $1 million overnight, and you can
Yeah.
work for 3 weeks and buy a house in the center of George Street. They
Yeah.
don't understand it because they're old and senile, and they don't care about the younger generations. There's so
Yeah.
many parents that are argumentative and selfish, and they've been drunk their whole life, and they live in 5-bedroom houses, and they won't let their children live with them. But also
Okay.
that would also be impossible for the white men, if they live with their parents, to bring up a family as well.
Yes,
And that
of
all
course.
goes back to immigration.
Yeah,
You
but
see?
survival speaking, let's say survival. Like, I have a roof off top of my head. I have a bathroom, a place to like clean myself, and food. Like, as an immigrant, if I don't do these things myself, I will not be able to have these three basic things. So, in order for me to have these basic three things, I have to excel in a level that is surreal. So that's why I believe right now some people get comfy because survival mode is not there. It's more like, okay, let's see what makes me happy. That they're in a no, they have first world problems, man. Like in the pyramid of Maslow, Australians are here in the middle almost because all the basic needs are covered. Safety nets, food, everything is covered. Immigrants, we don't have that. We are here still, and our mentality is also here. So
But that's
even
the
if we
choice.
are it's not good. I'm not saying this is good. I'm just explaining what's happening. I'm not saying
That's
this is
also
good,
your
and I'm not saying I agree with this. But for the people in the chat, I'm just
You
saying
should have
what's
held on to
happening.
that Spanish guy. You should have kept
Huh?
him. You should have kept the
Oh
Spanish guy.
no, he wanted to live in Spain. I wasn't gonna do that. Are you crazy?
But
So
immigrants that come to Australia, that's what they've signed up to. You see?
yes, I
So if
signed
I
up for
immigrate,
this.
if I
100%.
immigrate to China tomorrow, if I go to China tomorrow, I don't expect to be able to vote the next white man into the CCP. I don't know expecting to get on WeChat and start TikToking away on WeChat and go, oh,
Yeah.
Xi Jinping, he's not
And that's
giving
exactly what I
welfare.
said. That's exactly what I asked you in the beginning of this. Focus on the people that can vote. I'm a citizen, I can vote. I've been here for 9 years in this country. It was not easy to get that. I got it, and I respect my rights to vote and like see who's the government and like check the reality of it. I'm in my right to do so. And I'm telling you, you're saying that my vote is gonna cancel yours when you don't know what's my vote. You have no idea for who I vote to. But you already assume that because I'm an immigrant, I'm gonna vote Labour. And that
No,
is
I don't.
totally
I
wrong.
don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't. You don't understand Australia. So I can assume, no offense, that you're going to make a bad decision. I can
Why
just
is
make
that?
that assumption.
You know
Because
that a lot of brown people went to the same protest you all went. Because we all see the reality of the country we live in, and we scare as fuck because we come from countries that did the same mistakes you guys are doing.
same in the
And no
United,
one in here is focusing on the right problem, which is
so
that we
that's
have a
also
bunch
another
of
issue.
rich people buying houses, not selling them and not renting them, also collaborating to the crisis we have in. We have a lot of people that are not willing to do a praise on rises on
We
the
know,
on
we know, we
salaries.
know.
We
Everybody
have more
knows that.
problems. We have a
We
ridiculous
know,
amount of different
we
problems. And
know,
migration
we
is
know.
just simply
You just
not
keep
big
saying
enough.
it. Let me jump in there. We know that. It's the same as all the Mexicans that cross the border into the United States, and as soon as they get in, they want to shut down immigration because it's basically, if everything's doing really well in your country, you don't want it to collapse, right? So so now that you're in, you have an incentive to protect what is left of this country.
Yes.
Because you don't want
And
it to become
I have an
Venezuela.
incentive to have
Because
good food.
next thing you know, you and me will be on the same boat trying to get to China if this shit falls apart.
No, I'm already looking to go to Dubai, man. Like I'm already, I started looking like how like ways how can I go there? And it's not because of Australia, it's just because I told my mom
You get the point. You
I
get the
already
point,
lived
though.
once what Venezuela became. And when I see little things in Australia turning to socialist, I'm like, I should have a safety net somewhere else. Because I
And
panic. The same way
immigration
you panic,
causes
I
that.
panic. The
And
same way.
immigration causes that because as
But
soon as
immigration is
immigration,
natural. Like as
as
a
soon as
biologist myself, I cannot tell you that migration is not part of what makes the humanity. You are here because of migration. I exist because of
I'm
migration.
not
My father is Palestinian. My mom is from Spain. Like their families come from Spain. So
really
I am a victim of
Palestinian.
migration because biology makes us human. You're an animal. We are animals. We are humans. Literally migration is just part of being human. It could be for any other reason. So migration is not causing this. It's not the root reason why we're so fucked up. It's a problem that's been happening for the past 20 years. It's a cultural problem. It goes deeper than simply just migration. And that is what pisses me off because I see other Australians focusing on the wrong problem, on one problem where we should have a list of problems, a list of solutions, and a list of actions to take. For example, there is no second protest on the Australian
This is
patriotism.
hang on. This is the problem. You're an immigrant
What?
to Australia, and then you're coming up without a PhD in economics. How we're going to solve it? Can you see the problem with that?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying I have to solve it. I'm saying if you want this protest to be effective, you gotta list the problems, have a clear mindset, and make consecutive progress, like consecutive protest. There hasn't been a second protest in the calendar yet. It's been over a month. What are we waiting for? Are the Australians angry for real or not? Are they gonna let this slide? And I believe people will forget about this in 1 month, and it's very sad because they're gonna stop talking not just about migration as an issue, but they're going to stop talking about other issues that affect all Australians. And it's very sad to see that there is no actions to take after this. You know what I mean? You have to agree with me on this one. That it's very sad that there is no follow up out of this problem. It's just one protest that we're done. We're all going home, and then we'll forget about this.
So
Isn't
they
that what's
had
happening right now?
in France, they had yellow vest protests for a very long time. This is around 2017, 18. And the French government just kept flooding them with African immigration, and the country's in collapse right now.
So
The
what you're
only
saying is that we should have done just one protest and let it go.
the solution really is to have white men that have proper roots in the country. And the reason why I say that is because if you have a Chinese CEO, he's going to alter the way the political system is to benefit China, a foreign nation. The same way we've got Harry Triguboff, Australia's richest man, who is a property developer, and he wants to flood the country with as many people as possible. While Harry Triguboff is an Israeli, he's not really an Australian. He's got an Australian passport, and the piece of shit can vote. But what he's doing is he's flying around the world moving Jews into different countries. He just moved a whole bunch of Jews out of Ukraine before it got bombed. It's as if he knew it was going to happen. And I dare say he's contributing to them moving back into Ukraine after they murdered 1.5 million Ukrainians. And so that's the richest man in Australia. So what the solution is, we have real Aussies get into business and become the richest, control the mining, nationalize things.
I agree 100%.
But the problem here is, if we do that, then the United States will start killing us off the same way they did to Venezuela. And immigration makes it really difficult for us to conspire here, because I
agree.
But
that is a natural solution. Now, for the first time, you're actually saying Australian men
not the first
have to
time.
get richer, have to get smarter, have to get skilled, have to develop more technology. I agree
No,
with
no,
this
we've got all of
100%.
that. No, we've got all of that. I'm talking about statecraft within the country. I'm talking about conspiring together the same way the Israelis, the Chinese, the Indians now. They're the ones that are conspiring. So if you get into a company and there's like 10 Jewish people from Israel in that company, one of them is going to end up CEO because they're going to work together to try to dominate the company. That's how they work. They work together, you see? And so it's really hard to work against them, you see? And the more immigrants we have that come in and complain about things, it distracts us from trying to take back the country and keep the country running.
So in your
And
ideal
just so
world,
you know,
because I wanna jump into solutions more into debating what you think. I don't, to be honest, I don't care about what you think or what I think. I take care of like facts and things that actually gonna progress the country and progress what we are. So according to you,
well, if you're talking facts, you got to produce your PhD in economics first.
not really. Do you have Charlie Kirk didn't have anything? There is plenty of people that I can debate. I'm a normal human having a normal life.
Charlie
I'm
Kirk
allowed to
worked
debate
for
and express my opinion. Like
Charlie Kirk
I have, for
worked
example,
for
I have a degree. I
Israel.
have an engineering diploma, right? I can talk about engineering all day, but that doesn't make another person without an engineering diploma not capable of speaking his mind about engineering. You're allowed to speak your mind.
Charlie
It's
Kirk
called freedom
worked
of
for
speech.
Israel, by the way.
Huh?
So Charlie Kirk worked for Israel.
And
Yeah,
that
so
doesn't mean he deserved to get shot.
I never said that. I
Okay.
definitely didn't say that. But he's not an American. He doesn't believe in America. He believes in Israel first, not America first. He was a traitor
Well,
to
that's,
America.
I don't know.
He
I
was,
didn't agree with the guy much, but
well, his job was to promote Judeo-Christian values
yeah,
as an agent of Israel
yeah.
to convince people to send more money to Israel out of the United States. That was his
Wait a
job.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. There is someone here. I'm just saying, I'm just reading the comments. Normal human working 7 days a week, making it more difficult for Australians to afford housing. That sounds like if I work 7 days a week, am I taking jobs from Australians, which is not true. First of all, I'm an Australian. Second of all, I'm in a field that requires that.
We've
So
already
it's
covered that.
different.
We've already
Yeah.
covered all
So,
of that.
but it's very weird that people right now are just coming into that the fact that they
No, it's
feel bad
true.
because I'm working
No,
7 days
he's
a week.
right.
I have to work 7 days a week. It is what it
No,
is.
no, they're right because immigrants take housing, which increases the property prices and rental prices, and
Yeah.
allows Israelis like Harry Triguboff, Australia's richest man who works for Israel, to increase the price of everything and make life more difficult for everybody. So that's true. That's 100% true. And the more immigrants we have here that might just have a diploma in engineering, you know, they're going to be taking a job from someone else that you might think is lazy right now, but if you're not here, then they will be motivated and get paid enough to actually do the job. It only benefits big business to have more
Well, to be
immigrants.
honest, I've been looking for someone to do my job for the past 3 months, and I haven't been able to find that person.
That's not your
And
problem. You don't own the company, do you?
no. I own my own business, so it's very. I'm struggling very hardly right now to find someone, not like me, but at least with half my skills, just to get the job done on time. You know, I'm very chill.
And you're
I'm
in
trying to
Brisbane.
be as cooperative. Like I'm trying to blend in and be super cool and all that. And I still, I haven't been able to find someone to do my job. So I don't know if I ever will find this person, or I have to train this person from zero and like figure it out how I kind of make it be as efficient and good and whatever. But that's a separate problem. I think it also relies on the fact that we're in Brisbane and it's just a less pool of professionals to take care to take from. Most of the good professionals are already taking, already
So you
taken.
can't find someone to do the job because there's no incentive.
Well, I mean, $40 an hour is not too bad for someone that
Economics
doesn't have a career.
economics is incentives, and
Yeah.
you might think that it's a good deal, but they must have better deals. You see? And you see how
No,
it
no,
kind of works
I just
here?
haven't found the person yet. Like even on curriculum based and experience based, like it's just not there. It just hasn't come up yet. Eventually, I'll find this person. It's just it takes time. It's okay. It is what it is. So yes, try not Aussie from zero.
Another
Why wait
another
for
another
someone to come
issue.
along with a skill and make them? That is absolutely true. But when you train someone from zero, you also
But
have to
what you're
you pay double for it because you have to pay them at the salary that is I promised for them to be inspired to do it, and then you kind of waste around 6 months on training them, expecting them for them not to
maybe you're
leave.
in the
So
wrong industry, maybe the job is too niche. There's a lot of maybes there. But one thing
yeah,
that I have
it's still
noticed,
maybes. Forty
one
dollars
thing
an
I
hour
have,
is pathetic. You will never
hang on,
own a home earning that. Yeah, $40 for making content, man,
forget about
is
that.
actually quite good.
We can go through that later on.
Yeah,
But the thing here is, you keep assuming that it matters to keep the economy strong. You keep assuming you're making this assumption that keeping the economy strong and keeping this country super rich is actually our goal. A lot of Australians, it is our sovereignty and our political rights and our freedoms. Now, you know, when we were surrounded, most of these Asian countries were jungles, believe it or not. They had nothing. And most Australians just went surfing all of the time. We don't need a lot of things. But when we have militant immigrants coming in and hating on us within our own country, we lose everything that we have. And we have no choice but to do what you are doing right now and go somewhere else. And this is why I keep going back to the same thing. Just listen to me, trust the white Australians that tell you, and trust us. We are trying to protect what's left of the country, or you're going to find yourself in Dubai. We're both going to be in Dubai soon enough if this shit
yeah.
falls apart. And don't think that coming with a diploma in engineering gives you the ability to understand it at a depth of level. There's a lot of highly intelligent, highly educated Australians that are out
Yeah,
there protesting as well, and they get it.
I
You know,
know.
they understand
But
what's going
from
on.
my understanding of the
Let me
protest, because I
let me.
also hear the
I got a
interviews.
friend. I got a friend that
Mm-hmm,
has 2 PhDs. He's got a PhD in economics, a PhD in finance. He's got a master's degree.
mm-hmm.
He agrees with me on
Yeah,
literally like 95% of what
and
I talk
I'm
about
agreeing
here.
with you as well.
He's one of the most educated people on planet Earth, but he cannot say it. He cannot say it at work. He can't talk about it. That's my job. My
And
job's to
I'm
come out
agreeing
here,
with you.
risk my white supremacists, get abused, get threatened as a cis white man, to push out their facts, because a lot of my friends are highly educated and they know what they're talking about. And the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
the people that run this country, they want to keep the GDP high so they can milk it for what is left. And they're
Mm-hmm.
going to
Yes,
slowly destroy the social fabric of this country the same way they did it to Britain. Britain started
yes,
to really collapse when they stopped paying back the war debt to the United States in 2020. That's when things
yes,
really started collapsing.
yes.
And
And I agree with you.
they kept it.
And
You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I agree that the whole purpose is progress, and you have to pay a price for progress. And the main value for Australia right now is not keeping people
Charlie Kirk,
chill
hang on.
with less
Charlie
need.
Kirk
No, it's
is
actually
Israel
progress.
first.
We are building
Charlie
a
Kirk
huge
was Israel
casino right
first.
now that it went bankrupt in Brisbane. I don't know if you know, but our main problem around Brisbane is we have a big casino here, and
We don't need casinos. We got
exactly. So
enough
we have
gambling
big
and
structures
casinos.
to maintain, and to maintain these big structures, we need people. The birth rate in Australia has been low for the past 15 years. We don't have enough labor to actually keep up with the amount of progress we want. So to reach those goals and to reach that GDP, you need a ridiculous amount of people to do a ridiculous amount of work to pay a ridiculous amount of taxes. But if the values change, let's say Australians say our values right now are not progress. It's not progress. It's quality of life. Is needing less. Is consuming less. Then that has to be the actual message to send to others,
Let's
being
cover
like,
something
"Hey,
that you haven't. Let's cover something that you haven't covered. We've got
what?
all of the we've got all of the resources and we've got all of the technology and mining equipment to continue mining and continue to make this country wealthy. We also have an unbelievable amount of farmland and fresh water, and there's low populations, so we've got unbelievable amount of fish and beef, and we've got a lot of technology, farming technology, that makes it able for us to be able to feed the population as it is. Now, if we just keep pumping people in here so we can compete on a like GDP level with 225 million Indonesians on our doorstep, we're going to be just as polluted and have a lower standard of living like them. And that's not what we want to have. What I would argue, we just need more nuclear power plants. We have some nukes. Don't fuck around with us or we'll nuke you. We've got all the food and all the fresh fruit and vegetables and everything that we need. We sell the resources to China so that they'll protect our shipping containers that go there. They'll make sure that we don't get messed with, so we don't need a massive military. This is what the United States hates. And we'll have enough money, and we just don't need to flood ourselves with a ton of immigrants. But if we keep flooding ourselves with immigrants, all of our standard of living will continue to collapse. And another thing that will happen, actually, you know what will happen?
You're saying, I'm going to stop you there. Everything you're saying makes sense, and you're right. But
another
saying
thing,
that the standard of living will collapse.
So politically,
that's what I am a bit weird with this whole
let
thing.
me explain.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm asking a question right now from ignorance.
South America is a continent, and it's got a million different countries on there, and they're all divided.
I'm not talking about South America. Let me ask my question about Australia.
That would divide Australia up into 20 different countries, and we'll all be mega poor.
Okay,
that's what will happen.
I need to ask a question. So everything you're saying is absolutely right, and I believe maybe 80% of what you're saying, I'm with you, and I agree with you. What I don't understand is when you talk about lifestyle, is like Australians said that our lifestyle will not get affected whether we have migration or not, right? And that's what I highly disagree. I highly disagree, because literally we have, who makes your nails? A Chinese lady. Who cleans your house? A Latin lady. When you go outside in the street, who sells you fruit? A Chinese lady. So we right now are very deep into a per nationality type of labor. For example, transport is pretty much Brazilian. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you want a job in transport, like driving trucks, Brazilians.
You're assuming that it's your job to start talking about the economy. We keep going back there. It's not your job.
I'm just asking a question. I understand your perspective. I understand your fears. I'm just trying to close I go back to the problem. But my main question is, because I have this fear too. Let's say, because I'm an Australian, so if we stop having migration, I'm also stuck here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm leaving because I'm already a citizen. So I'm already have to deal with this. If we go migration zero and we said, yeah, we don't need that amount of skills, whatever. We have plenty of people here to fill up these gaps. How long will it take? It's not for you to
decide. It's not for you to decide. Everything will be fine. That's our problem as Australians.
So I don't have to worry about anything. That's what you're saying.
You should be on our side.
I'm 100%. On your side. I'm literally agreeing with you, but you're not listening.
You should be. And let me explain. What? Yeah, let me explain
I shouldn't agree with you.
No, you should agree with me. Let me explain the other side of this. What if we keep flooding Australia with immigrants? What will happen? Well, we've got examples of this that you can have a close look at. Have a close look at what's going on in Germany. Look at Kurt Kaz. Kurt Kaz, the vlogger. I made a video talking about him. He went to Germany recently. They just flooded that country with so many immigrants, and the country's collapsing.
Yeah, and that's the reason I moved to Australia, because migration was controlled. You don't understand. The reason why I moved here is because it was hard to move here. When I came here, I appreciated the fact that I got accepted, and I took it to the heart to make the best out of myself and about the best about this country. I volunteer here. I do way more than an average Australian to deserve to be here. And that is an undeniable fact. And I know because most of my friends, we're all in the science industry, because that's the reason why we're here, because
So
we
can
have
I
a
give you a
skill.
sign? I want you to
Huh?
write a sign saying no more Africans. Get out
If
there,
you,
no more
I believe
Africans.
it should be more
No more
targeted to the
Africans.
people you don't want in here.
Because
Because
you know how much
people,
crime they have caused in Britain and France. I got a friend that's from Paris. He's now living in Eastern Europe because it's unsafe in his own city. He's a proper French. You know what I mean? He's a
I'm not
proper
getting
French
offensive.
guy.
I'm just speaking. Sorry, I'm
Oh
just
no,
a woman
don't
speaking.
just listen to me.
Okay.
The reality of the chat might not be exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
But if we keep flooding this country with people, we're going to become Britain. And Britain is an absolute mess. And the more messy it gets, the more confusing it gets. And the more people start arguing, and there just becomes an insufferable place to live, you see?
Okay, but
And
don't you? I have a question. Don't you think right now migration already is being controlled? So there is a group of
no,
people that's gonna get their visas denied. They said over 200,000 that
no,
they will leave this year. You have over
no.
200,000 people leaving. You have 180 coming in, and you have a target of 90,000 people that needs to be a permanent resident for a skill that is needed. That is not in Australia. That we need this person to fill this
So
role,
you're in
because if that
Brisbane.
person doesn't, no one will.
You're in
Um,
Brisbane, so your perception's a bit skewed. If you're in Melbourne, you're going to get stabbed by an African Sudanese or whatever that was in the chat.
in here we
In
chill. To be
it's
honest,
yeah.
Brisbane is
So
fucking
I've
cool.
got a client. I've got a client that just
Wait.
moved. That just went to Brisbane literally last week,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just saying there's so many Aussies here, and it's peaceful and it's chill. He's from Melbourne. You don't go
Yeah.
around. You don't go walking down the beach at nighttime in Melbourne. It's unsafe. They got so many Africans there, and you try to have. I tried to have this discussion with an African because
Yeah.
they don't understand anything. All they do is they think that they're right. You know,
Yeah.
they don't. They're going to destroy the country. But it's not just that. There's just too many immigrants that don't understand the society, because the lockdowns, there were so many immigrants in Australia during the lockdowns that they came from communist countries and dictatorships, that they just went along with it. People like me, we were on this channel bitching about the lockdowns every single day, arguing with people in the street, trying to disobey as much as I could, but I couldn't, because there weren't enough Australians that understood the culture that we need to fight back against the government. The government's always the enemy. Ned Kelly, tall poppy syndrome, larrikinism, all of these things we needed to push back, and the lockdowns would never have happened if there were real Aussies. They even bashed Australians at the Anzac Memorial in Melbourne, which is
I mean, the
literally
lockdowns were simply a
that's
it's a
pissing
security
on the
measure.
white that's pissing on the graves of the men that fought and died for this country. You know, we could be speaking Japanese right now if they didn't fight them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they didn't go to Europe, we wouldn't have had the British defend our trading routes. So it's all connected. We fought for this with blood, and this is what pisses off a lot of people when they say that white men, you know, we're colonizer, white men fucking died for this shit, you know. They died.
Exactly.
My great grandfather was on the Sydney Harbour Bridge catching like the steel, like cooking up the steel thing with like a bit of rope connected to the bridge, and if he falls off, he dies. And he was catching the steel like bulbs or whatever and trying to hammer them in, and he ended up like, you know, like a lot of them were. It wasn't exactly easy to build Australia. And now that the country's doing well, everybody wants to come in and take what they built. It takes 100 or 200 years to build a country. You got to build the
Yes, and don't you
alliances. You got to
think?
fight. You got to build the economy. You got to build everything,
But it's
and then
the
people can
collective goal.
destroy it.
The collective goal of Australia, since I came here, because mind you, you have to do an Australian test that again, I think most Australians will not be able to get 100 out of 100 like I did. And it's about history and everything.
We've
And
already got the best. We've got the
I
best.
will
There's a massive. Some of the
let me
smartest.
finish because I let you speak, and I
Yeah.
know that
All
people
right.
just want to listen to you speak, but this is a
All
debate,
right.
so there is two voices in it.
All
Um,
right. All right. I'll let
I
the girl talk.
I don't think What do you say?
I was being cheeky. No, you
Okay.
go.
So the back to the topic. I think you're talking to the wrong person for this debate on migration, because the reason I made that video is to justify how hard it is to get visas, and
Mm.
how personally I consider that migration already has been controlled, because not just anyone can come to this country. You actually have to be at the top. But the thing is, what you're saying is you have a problem with that as well. The fact that you gonna have highly competitive people at the top of their own countries coming here, and they're also gonna be competitive, and they're gonna be pushing Australian asses, and Australians are not ready to compete with these people for ende, like for ende. Sorry, I mix language. So at the end of the day, Australians, instead of competing, is gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna chill here and stay in this line of work and not gonna progress. That's why you're saying it's better to have zero migration, so Australians push themselves and they develop more technology to compete with China, and they grow. And I absolutely agree with you. I believe you should be in a state where you have no other option that get your ass up and get the job done. I agree 100% with that rhetorical. I agree we need a stronger man, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I agree with that 100%. What I don't understand is that if Australians have the capacity to fully understand that losing migration down to zero will affect them directly in their lifestyle, and they no longer can have excuses not to do an activity because they have to do it. You know what I mean?
And that's what we want.
Yes. So what we're
You
saying
keep you
is,
keep
if we
focusing on
have
the wrong
less,
thing.
huh?
You keep focusing on the wrong thing. That's what we want.
What's the wrong thing I'm focusing? I'm sorry.
So my grandparents, there weren't very many immigrants here. My grandparents and even my parents, they went to a school and everyone was just white Australian. You
Yes.
see, and there was hardly any immigration, and
Yes.
everything was fine. We
So
were
wait, you come
fine.
from immigrant parents too?
No, the what I'm saying is that there were hardly any immigrants for my parents, let alone my grandparents, and we
Yes.
were
Yes.
fine. What you're trying to say, you keep trying to say that we need immigrants. You keep trying
No,
to,
no, I'm not
and
saying. I'm not
you
saying
keep
this. I'm saying, let's say we go immigration zero. Australians have to face the reality, which is like we
the
have
real
to actually work over 30
nothing.
hours a week. Because
But
when I arrived to Brisbane, most of my Australian mates were like, "Whoa, like you're working full
you're
time," and I was
fresh.
like, "Yes." It's like you're working too much. I was
You
working.
just
I was
arrived.
working what? I was working part time,
You just
and
arrived.
yeah, I
You
just
don't
arrived. And
understand. You don't
you know what I mean?
understand. You just arrived. You
No,
just
no.
arrived.
What I'm saying is, um,
What it is like
the
now for
Australians as
you,
a community will have to come together and be like, you know what? We're gonna put the work together, and
duh,
we're gonna tell the government we don't need immigrants. We actually don't. And
duh.
until that happens, there was not gonna be any change. That's the
I've already
reality.
said that. You keep
Yeah.
coming back to the idea that this is brainwashing by the elites, brainwashing by the globalists that keep saying that we need immigration. We don't. We actually don't. And on top of that, I'll tell you another thing. When my grandparents were around, most of these countries on our doorstep, Indonesia, Philippines, even China, they were poor. My mother used to say when I was a child, she used to say, look, finish your dinner because think about all the starving Chinese. You see? Now, every country on our doorstep has an economy that we can trade with. We have
Yeah.
an unbelievable amount
Yes.
of opportunities. The idea that we need to have like 1 million low-skilled labor to pump out the next like Ford or the next like car or something like that. We don't need to. We have all the resources we need. We have all of the farming. We have all the land. We have all of the resources. We have everything that we need, and immigration doesn't add to our economy at all. We don't need it, and we're
So you
fully
think
aware.
that migration doesn't add anything to the economy at all?
it adds to the elites. It doesn't. My life has not got better because of immigration. My life has got worse. Every white man in the country's life has deteriorated to the stage where they're committing suicide. It is not good for us.
But I just don't understand. Is it because it's
Let me-
hard for
let me-
them to get jobs? Is it hard for
It's
them?
more difficult,
What?
and it's only going to get worse. And that all
Is
of
it
the
because they cannot
immigrants,
open businesses at the same level we can
we
open
don't
businesses?
need it.
I just want to understand the root reason why white cis men are struggling in a country built for them by them. Like if I'm doing better than an Australian man in my head, I'm not the problem, he's the problem because of course he has
Because of
way more
militant,
advantages than me. Was born
because
here,
of
speaks the language, has friends, you know?
I've been explaining to you the entire time, because of militant immigrants that arrive and get political, and they want to take people's jobs, which is understandable. They want to come in, they want to take
But how
jobs.
come
They want to take,
I go to a place, I have the skill you don't have. Am I still in your job?
if we shut off immigration tomorrow, my life will increase exponentially. Okay, that's all
How?
you need to know.
How?
The pumping the place full of immigrants only benefits the people who run the country, the government, which is
You're not
my
answering my
enemy.
question. How your life as an individual? Let's fuck the government. Let's talk about you.
I've said it 1,000 times.
Yeah,
The
but
more
how?
people
It's
that,
because you're gonna go out and you're gonna get
I'll
a job
repeat it
easier.
again. I'll repeat it again, and
No,
the
no, but
chat's
it's.
already getting
Can
bored
you
with
answer my
me
question?
repeating it.
Can you answer
The
my
more
question? Is that possible?
supply
Answering the
and
question.
demand. I'm
Huh?
answering your question. How?
Okay.
The more people in property prices increase. If property prices decrease, that hurts the rich people. Who cares about them?
Mm-hmm.
We want a middle class in this country. We don't want to become this
Okay.
third world shithole.
I
And
agree.
immigration is turning it into a third world shithole. And the whole
I agree.
idea that people in Australia are working less and immigration is helping us is actually falsehood. We have to work harder. We're carrying immigrants. And the immigrants aren't smart enough to understand that. They think they're helping us because they're in bed with the government, because it's their incentive to steal our
Yeah.
job and take our
But
rental
how come I
apartment.
still, for example, I came here and I literally have a job opening right now and no one is able to fill it. So you're telling me that I
So
came here to this country to
you want
fill
to
your
bring
job.
in some immigrants so that you can have some workers on arrival. Just work twice as hard like a real Aussie does. Welcome to Australia.
But find me a real Aussie that can do what I want her to do.
Maybe you're in the
You
wrong
know?
industry. Maybe you're in the
No,
wrong
I'm not in the
industry.
wrong industry. I'm in an industry where I have a ridiculous amount of clients and not enough workers.
The
Like
market will
most
decide.
Australia, like most Brisbane at least.
Well, then pay them
That's why, example,
double.
we're talking about your reality as an independent. Let's talk about my reality as an independent. I have a business.
Pay them
I need people to
double.
work for me, and I can't find them. I'm paying them a
Pay
very
them
good
double.
wage for someone without a degree.
Pay them more.
I'm paying double the minimum wage salary for someone that has no degree, not paying for an
Inflation is
education, not
bad.
paying for helps, not paying for nothing. And then they when you put them into ethics of work, literally they cannot just get one or two activities a day done, which are
So
very doable.
you're looking for someone to work for you, and you're blaming Australia because you don't have
I'm
those
not
workers.
blaming Australia for absolutely anything. I'm just saying that you're telling me that we have everything in the world already, that we don't need more immigrants to fill jobs. That's what you're saying,
You're
right?
talking about one
And
example.
Brisbane, sorry, I just want to clarify something. In Brisbane, $40 an hour is actually good because our rent is not as high. But if I was in Sydney, of course, I wouldn't be able to survive with $40 an hour. But the minimum wage salary in Australia right now is $24.6. That's the minimum wage salary. So I'm not the problem setting the salaries. The government is. So if you want to blame someone for the salaries we have, I'm just reading the comments right now and I'm ranting. I'm so sorry. If you want to blame someone for the minimum wage salary and the salaries we have, you should blame
So
the government,
Sarah,
not me. I'm actually paying
Sarah,
above the grade. Thank you.
Sarah, we've already covered this.
Yeah.
Wages keep decreasing and inflation keeps increasing and the cost of living keeps increasing because the immigrants aren't really contributing.
So you're
And if
saying
we
that me
stop it,
working 7 days away as an immigrant, I'm not contributing enough to Australia?
so you want to run a business, you've got clients, and you want to find someone to work with you.
No,
Now,
I also have a full-time job working for a very good Australian company, by the way. I have two things.
okay.
Mind you.
So,
Okay.
so
7 days away.
all of if that collapses and the GDP collapses,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter to the average Australian. We don't
What do
care.
you mean that doesn't matter? That matters to everyone.
No, it doesn't, because that's not how the economy works. That's not how the economy works for the average Australian.
So you're saying that if the country doesn't progress, it would not affect me?
So it's called Pareto's principle. And I know it's going to be hard to cop this for you, but 20% of society contributes 80% of the wealth.
Yes. Yes.
And
I
I
know
dare
that.
say, I don't think you're in the 20%.
No, I'm not.
Mm.
I wish,
And
and that's
what
my plan. That's why I work extremely hard,
if
because I
you
want to be
work
on that top
if you
20%.
work just as hard as you're working right now in Venezuela, it won't get you as far as it does in Australia, though, right? Or
Yes,
wrong?
that's a reality. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So you've got an upgrade, yet you're still kind of complaining about the upgrade. You see
I'm not
my
complaining about
problem?
the upgrade at all. I'm actually saying that because you're telling me that we have enough workers in here and what we have is enough, and people just want to have this very simple life. We don't need that much,
I never
blah, blah,
said
blah.
simple. I never said simple. It is not simple. It is very stressful. White men are committing suicide. It is very bad in
Yes,
Australia.
but I
It
just
is
don't
not simple.
understand. And if people can comment in the put in the comments, because I don't know what is stopping cis white men from getting a skill, getting a job, getting that job deliberately properly, go back home, get a girlfriend, and pop some babies. On these 6 steps I pronounced right now, what is stopping Australian white men to do this?
I grew up in Australia where we didn't have the internet. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have all of this BS. It was a more simple life. I get it, but there were fewer people. If you look at how a union behaves,
Yes, but right now,
if
my
you
question
understand
is
how
still the
it
same. What is
if
stopping you from building the life you want to have? What is actually stopping you?
every day it's becoming more difficult because too many immigrants are increasing the property prices, which only benefits the top 1%, like Harry Triggerboff, the billionaire in Australia. I keep repeating myself. And if you look at how a union look at how a union behaves. A union's job is to limit the amount of workers. A union
To
isn't there
what?
to have
No, the union
a
work is to do
union,
what?
a union,
Yeah,
organized labor. Like this is
yeah.
basic like economics 101. The whole point of a union is to continuously try to build barriers to prevent more and more people from entering the union. You see, the most effective unions have the highest educated people, like dentists and pilots,
Mm-hmm.
because it takes such a
Mm-hmm.
long time for them to get educated and then enter the pool. So therefore, they get
Mm-hmm.
paid more. This is simple
Yeah.
economics. Yet we flood Australia with people that can get a diploma within 6 months and they enter the work pool. They're diluting the cost of living for every Australian. And those same
But
people need
Australians
to
can
work.
also get these diplomas.
I also have, yes, and now a lot of my friends need a PhD to do something that my grandfather needed a diploma to do because it's
Yeah,
been
and that's
diluted with
happening
too many
globally.
workers.
I need my master's food to compete in the same market that I am in. It's the same thing for everyone, and it's the same thing globally speaking. What our parents used to do,
A
my
lot of the
grandfather used to be in
immigrants,
labor construction, and he had like 3 houses. And now in Venezuela, you
and
cannot do the same. Same in Colombia, same
again,
in US.
I
It's global.
empathize
It's
with
not just
your
Australia.
situation. I empathize with your situation. I empathize with all of the immigrants in Sydney CBD where they have a 2-bedroom apartment and they have double bunk beds in each of those rooms and they got like 8 people in a 2-bedroom apartment and they're all
That's
working
horrible.
6 days a week and they're doing slave labor. Well, those people are propping up the property market while being slave labor in Sydney CBD. It should be
Yeah.
illegal. But what they're doing, they're living under stress And that stress also contributes to the decline in living standards for the average Australian. And then the businesses and the property owners, they take that wealth and they send it to Israel, they send it to the United States, they send it to China, while everything
and that is a
falls to shit.
problem.
And then the
And that is
Ponzi
a big
scheme,
problem.
and the
that is a big
Ponzi
problem.
scheme,
I'm asking you because you said that the GDP and all that do not affect the regular Australian. Is that what you told me, right?
during the lockdowns, rent prices collapsed in Sydney, and it was heaven.
They collapsed.
They collapsed
In
because
here they didn't.
in
Here
Sydney
they
they
tripled.
collapsed.
No, in
all of
Brisbane,
the
Queensland during COVID, rents in here tripled during COVID. We had a different reality during COVID. So in
it's not
here,
going to be like
because
that
we
all
were
the
having
time.
such a good time, all the people that used to live in Brisbane and moved to Sydney, they all came back. And the rent prices went up just
If
for
you had
internal
lockdowns,
migration.
yeah,
Huh?
because you didn't have proper lockdowns.
We didn't.
Lockdowns kicked everybody out of the country, and it
Yes.
took a lot of.
So we had immigrants that couldn't stay because they were sent back to their own
You're not
countries, like
understanding.
Italy.
You're not understanding. Too many
Yeah.
people makes it hard to live. Let's just keep this simple. Too many
Yes,
people,
too many people gets it hard
and
to
it's
live.
hard
I
for
agree
them.
with that 100%. But
It's hard
also,
for
not
them.
having people makes the economy not grow. And
We
the
don't
whole
care.
point,
I keep repeating myself. We don't care about the
And I
economy.
understand your point that you don't care about progress.
We don't want any
But that
more
is
people
you.
in Australia,
The collective that people voted for was about progress. So
which
people
is immigrants.
collectively in Australia
No,
democratically said
no,
progress is the
they didn't.
priority. And this is the
They
price of
didn't.
progress.
They didn't vote for shit. It was immigrants coming in trying to steal more money. That's all. And this is why when we get back to immigrants having the ability to vote and canceling out my vote, we don't want that. We don't need it. Audio? Okay. Well, anyway, can you hear me at all? Yes or no? Can you hear me though?
Sound weird. And people.
All right. Well, anyway, that was a long enough chat. That was a very long chat. I felt like I was repeating myself a lot. But yeah, Paladin, thank you for the super chat. Awesome debate, very informative. Thank you very much. I think there was another, and Beyond Traitors as well. Thank you for the super chat. A debate. Yeah, we haven't had a debate in a long time. But yeah, thanks guys for getting in the chat. Yeah, I think we've talked for long enough. I think we covered quite a lot here. Hopefully that was interesting to you guys. If you're new, click the subscribe button. Gee, I haven't said that in years. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one, hey?